Hello there and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new series hosted by NXTGEN Racing, albeit not quite an iRacing as per normal, but today we are on the rFactor2 racing simulation platform available only on PC to bring in an all-new season of racing in what we like to refer to as the NXTGEN Racing BTCC Mini League for 2024. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, here at NXTGEN Racing we are major fans of the British Touring Car Championship Series, and indeed if you hadn't guessed from our enjoyment of the NXTGEN Racing Touring Car Championship on iRacing on the NXTGEN, whilst that's currently in a bit of a pause as we get ready for Season 6, we thought it only appropriate that we show our love for the BTCC. Indeed, many of our staff members and admin members working as track marshals from circuit side covering the series over the course of each and every year, and well, we thought what better way to celebrate our love for the series than bring about what is a BTCC series focused on the cars from 2021 through to 2023 and on the simulation platform that has them all licensed by Motorsport Games. It is none other than rFactor2, and here today we kick off the first of 4 weeks of racing in what is our mini league featuring all the cars as just mentioned. But as we get underway today, we are here in the United Kingdom for 4 rounds of racing, 3 races which will be taking place here in the Garden of England in the county of Kent at the one and only Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Spanning only a length of 1.21 miles, this circuit is one of the shortest in the United Kingdom, if not in the world, when it comes to touring car class racing. But as our drivers get ready and set to race around here, it is a circuit that arguably needs no introduction, with its ability to create absolutely thrilling nose-to-tail racing from start to finish. With only 5 corners and 2 straights of very short length, it means that our drivers will need to run nose-to-tail from corner to corner and be forceful if they want to make overtakes happen. Get it right and they find themselves rubbing paint and batting hard into likes of Druid's Hairpin when they run up towards Paddock Hill Bend at turn number 1, or down to Graham Hill Bend at turn number 3, or the run to McLaren at turns 4 and 5. However, get it wrong and they find themselves falling backwards down the order and languishing behind and looking to go defensive as their roles encroach close. With it all being an all-new season, plenty of new names on the grid, where it's going to be a new frontier for NXTGEN Racing, and we welcome you all to this live broadcast from circuit side, being brought to you on 3 media platforms for your viewing pleasure. See, we've got the 2 official NXTGEN Racing media platforms, one of which being on YouTube at youtube.com, and you just got to search for NXTGEN Racing, and we welcome you guys and girls on YouTube. Alternatively, if you're more of a Facebook person, you could be tuning in right now via facebook.com/groups/NXTGEN Racing, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via Facebook. And then thirdly, we do have the unofficial broadcast available on Twitch TV, and that's at twitch.tv/TX141, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via Twitch, including there Aslan Anderson, who says hey, and hey to you, Aslan. I hope you're doing well. But say you may be asking, who is TX141? Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Paul Walsh, also known as TX141 or Britain Speed, and I will bring you all your racing action from circuit side today, and indeed over the entirety of the season. It's a pleasure to be invited by NXTGEN Racing to bring you all the racing action as it's a new frontier for the community. And well, let's take you through our schedule for tonight, timed in Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, or Universal Coordinate Time, UTC. For as we can see, in just under 12 minutes time, we're going into our first ever qualifying session, 15 minutes in duration. All drives out of the circuit looking to deliver the laps, after which we then head into the grid for our first race of the day. That'll be a 20-minute race, all three of our races being 20 minutes in duration, and that'll be due to be heading to the warm-up and into the gridding process of what will be a 8:15 this evening. After which we'll be taking a brief breather and we'll be setting the grid for race number 2. There'll be no qualifying session, and we'll tell you exactly how the grids are going to be set for races 2 and 3 shortly, but race number 2 is expected to get underway by the latest at what will be 9 o'clock this evening. It may be sooner if we get the transition done quickly, so remember, this schedule is only approximate. You may not want to go too far away from your TV or your PC screen, as we may have the racing a lot sooner than what's listed, but race number 2 will be expected by 9 o'clock this evening, 20 minutes of racing, and then we take another brief breather before returning for race number 3, 20 minutes once again at 9:45 to wrap up proceedings, after which we'll be having post-round interviews with our volunteer drivers. But let's talk a little bit about the calendar ahead, because of course we've got Brands Hatch Indy today, but we've got 4 weeks of racing, that's 4 rounds, and after the 30th of January, we're making our way to Donington Park's National Circuit, making our way up towards Leicestershire for the circuit near Castle Donington, and that'll be on the 6th of February, after which we'll then make our way down southwestwards towards Thruxton Circuit, and what around the race, and that's going to be at the high-speed, no-holds-barred, high lap-speed circuit there in Thruxton on the 13th of February, and on the 20th of February, we'll bring it all to a close at Alton Park's Island Circuit, making our way up to Cheshire for what is certainly going to be an absolute thriller to conclude our season of racing. So 4 rounds, all in the United Kingdom, 4 circuits that many of you, if you're big fans of the BTCC, will be very familiar with, or even if you're fans of TCR UK. And well, let's talk a little bit about our circuit for today. For it is, of course, the West Kingsdown base in terms of the village it's close to in Kent, and it is the English circuit of Brands Hatch Indy. Now, as we can see from the circuit map provided us by iRacing.com, a fellow simulator, and thank you to iRacing for the track maps that are available on their simulator, well, this circuit only consisting of 5 corners. It means that it's a troublesome circuit to try and make overtakes happen at, and track position is going to be absolutely critical here. And that's not to say that qualifying is going to be the decider of who exactly is going to win the races, because you can battle here, and we've seen it throughout history, particularly in the 90s Super Touring era, but even in the modern day, in the hybrid era, which you're going to be seeing today, where drivers have been able to make overtakes happen, with the majority occurring into Paddock Hill Bend at turn number 1 or in the run up towards Druids at turn number 2. But some drivers are feeling forceful and feeling fortunate, they may be able to make it happen elsewhere on the circuit. But with only 5 corners, as our drivers roar their way on around through the start for the straight and up towards turn 1, they'll sweep the way over and down through the right hand before going in towards turn number 2 from Paddock Hill Bend. They'll charge the way out towards Druids and then hard on the brakes. They're the slowest corner on the circuit. They'll make the way wrapping around through the right-hand hairpin and down towards turn number 3 at Graham Hill Bend. Through the left-hander they'll go, and then onto the short straight, which runs them up towards turn number 4 and into the McLaren sequence of turns 4 and 5 before they turn through clearways. And as they make their way back onto the Paddock Hill run, they'll be charging away onto the next lap. Indeed, we've got plenty of laps to come here. And let's give you a quick reminder of the rules then in terms of how the grids are going to be set. Firstly, this is a fixed setup series for our drivers, where the only things they're going to be allowed to change on the car are fuel loads and also their brake biases. Nothing else as far as I'm aware. And in terms of the grids, how they're going to be set. So the race 1 grid shall be based on the results of qualifying. That's a given. But the race 2 grid shall be set based on the results of race number 1. So whoever wins in race 1 starts on pole for race number 2, and we set the order accordingly. And the race 3 grid shall be a reverse grid based on the results of race 2. The reversal position being drawn live from the commentary booth. We'll be bringing out the NXTGEN Racing Lottery Bowl, of course, and we'll be drawing a number between P6 and P12, and that's where we'll reverse the grid from. But that's enough rules, regulation, everything in between. And as Aslan Anderson says in the Twitch there, what are we waiting for? Well, we're waiting for the final practice session to conclude here, no doubt about it. But as all of our drivers get themselves set, well, let's introduce other drivers making the way on around right now, as we do have this final practice session underway, and the cloud really coming over the circuit as well. And I do wonder whether potentially we're going to be seeing some rain today, and that would be a surprise to be sure, and not a welcome one for some drivers who may have been hoping that it was going to be clear skies all day today in what was the county of Kent. But here is none other as he makes his way charging up the hill, none other than Lloyd Biddulph as the Hyundai i30 driver makes his way around through Druids Bend, and as he does so here currently in P3 in this final practice warm-up session, only 2 tenths off of the leading time right now set by Philip Garside, albeit we can see that Andrea Alberti's immediately moved into the pole now on a 47.145. Remember, this is just practice, and all the drivers right now getting themselves set up as best they can and getting fully dialed into their machines. We've got so many new drivers who you perhaps haven't seen the Next Gen Racing Series before, and we welcome them all to the grid. We'll try and cover every one of them as we can, but this of course is Lloyd Biddulph here, and I do believe at racing with fellow family members on the grid there, and we'll keep eyes out for them as we also do welcome Andrea Alberti, currently the fastest driver out there in the BMW 330, and as the number 4 driver there, flying the colours, Colin Turkington, multi-time champion of the BTCC of course, and we've been seeing the BMWs go very quickly in the pre-season, I should say, practice sessions that have occurred over last week, in the fact that Alberti has been one of the fastest drivers out there, and when you see him separated only by what is 1/1000th over Garside, you can definitely tell it is going to be close between them, but Alberti definitely the man to beat right now, it would seem, as he makes his way down through turn 1 and up towards 2. And as he does so, we say hello in the YouTube chat there to Alex Meredith. Good evening to you, Alex. I hope you're doing well, and I wonder if you're feeling a little bit feisty right now, because we normally see you out on circuit in the NXTGEN, and perhaps wonder if you can get your hands on the rFactor2 platform as well. Well, do let us know, ladies and gents. So if you're feeling a little bit shy, don't be shy. Feel free to say hi, whether you're on Twitch, Facebook, alternatively YouTube. You're all welcome here at Next Gen Race. Indeed, we'll be our best to welcome you in the commentary booth. But as we do look to Phil Garside, meanwhile in the Honda Civic Type R, they're running the colours of Cook as he makes his way on through Graham Hill Bend at turn number 3. And this Honda has proven very powerful as well, particularly in those lower speed corners around here, as he makes his way on through turns 4 and 5 and getting himself set and absolutely roaring to go. But as he does so there, and we're right now still trying to find a bit more time as Alberti going faster and faster now, 10th separating Alberti from Garside. And well, we do have a yellow in sector 1 at this time, trying to understand who exactly has made that yellow flag happen, although we can't be too certain about it. But also here, welcome to the grid for the first time, Phil Garside. We also do have Alan Axon here as we see him making his way on towards turn number 1. I believe we've actually got a car on fire there coming on through sector 1, although not quite sure whose car that is. That's one of the Hondas that's gone up in flames by the looks of things. So I think there's been a bit of an incident in the gravel trap there, and we'll try and understand who that is where we can. But as we do see what is Alan Axon making his way on down there in Halford's Clean machine, well, he's running the colours of Daniel Rowbottom, and he roars on through the currently P3 in this practice session. And then we do of course need to introduce Fraser Ostens, not normally seen on the NXTCC grid, but a huge fan of touring car racing on the rFactor2 simulator platform. He's been absolutely chomping at the bit wanting to be in this series, I can tell you that. When we told him that we were going to be hosting this mini league, he was one of the very first to sign up, and he's going to be running in the Ford Focus there, running the colours of one of the heroes from Napa Racing in the number 27 as he makes his way onto the start finish straight there, in a little bit of draft of the Hyundai in front of him, and the number 1 in particular of rFactor just in front as they make the way on down through Paddock Hill Bend. And speaking of rFactor, well, you'll have definitely seen him. In fact, that's not the driver there. We have 2 drivers of number 1, and that was Adam Delmont going completely sideways. We do apologise for the mix-up there, and some other drivers taking the same door number, and as Adam Delmont makes his way on down the hill in towards Graham Hill Bend. Well, he's a regular. You'll have seen him many a time in the Next Gen Racing Series. As he rolls his way on through, deciding to go with the Hyundai i30 in fastback. And well, looking forward to seeing what Delmont can do with the machine from Bristol Street Motors. But then coming back to some other drivers who we skipped ahead of and we need to introduce. Well, here's a name that some of you may be familiar with, and here's none other than Andrea Romy, and fellow BMW driver here, running in the number 12 BMW 330. And well, Romy, of course, being one of the stars of Season 4 of the NXTCC, and having his hand, or trying his hand, into rFactor2 with this BTCC mini league. A very fast driver in his own right, and he's also been setting the timing towers alight, much like Andrea Alberti, as he makes his way on through turn number 1 there through Paddock Hill Bend. And as we have a little bit of sunlight coming back onto the circuit, which is always a pleasant treat after the heavy cloud that started to come over, but definitely some mixed weather around here. As he makes his way through Druid's Hairpin, well, we also do need to introduce Finn Targ, and here is Mr. Targ as he makes his way on through. They're running Ash Sutton's Ford Focus in the 116, and will of course Sutton be reigning champion from 2023, and Targ's going to be trying to channel his inner Sutton as he makes his way across the line and on to another lap here in this practice session. But time continues to tick on down, drifting the car there as he makes his way on through Paddock Hill Bend, Going a bit wide, in fact, going a bit too much speed, but then again, you've got to push it to the limit to know exactly where the limits are. And as he makes his way on through, we said about a man earlier known as rFactor2, and currently parked up in the pit lane there. Not going at the moment, currently P10 this practice session, and another driver eagerly wanting to get on the grid in preparation for tonight. And I can tell you one thing, keep your eyes out for him. He's going to be a contender inside the top 10, no doubt about it, is Dario, as he gets himself set. And we also look here to another Honda in the form of Stefano Guiducci as he makes his way in towards turns 4 and 5 here, coming up through the McLaren sequence. And as he does so, they run in Cook's colours in the Honda Civic Type R as he makes his way through turn 5. We've got a car going wide there. That's one of the 4 focuses. Not quite sure which one at the moment. We will try and discern it a little bit later, but what we can definitely tell you is that Guiducci right now making its way up towards the timeline here, and currently down in P11, trying to find a little bit more time, but keeping the fact that our top 13 separated by only a second at the moment, and this is practice. It is not what is qualifying at the moment, but all the drivers, I think, treating this as if this is the qualifying session, given the fact they're so eager to push on. And while we do have a few more newcomers to NXTCC, well, not NXTCC series, NXTGEN Racing series to introduce for this BTCC series, and that does also include Aaron Hamstead, who we see here making his way on down into Graham Hill Bend into what is turn number 3 in the Ford. And well, we look forward to seeing how Aaron gets on. One great gentleman driver from what I've been hearing down in the paddock, indeed, when I've had the chance to catch up with him in a brief moment. And Brian Dan Camish's livery there, and well, we're eagerly going to see how he gets on today as he makes his way a little bit deep there into turn number 5, brings the car back together and very quickly snapping the front end around, and making his way on to the start finish straight here. And then we do have a couple more drivers who are new to NXTGEN Racing series still to introduce, including Marco Granti, as we see the Honda driver here going into the braking zone for Druids, going nice and deep there into the corner and bringing it on through. And well, another driver who was very eager, much like Dario rFactor, and when he heard that this series was being hosted, eager to be on the grid, getting signed up practically immediately. And well, we look forward to seeing how Marco and his fellow Honda drivers push on here at Brands Hatch. And then we do have Indy, and Indy currently parked up in the pit lane. We'll be bringing one of the BMWs here, one of the BMW 330s. And well, those are all of your drivers I do believe you won't have seen in the NXTGEN Racing series before, and we welcome them all very happily to the grid for what is our BTCC Mini League. And well, we also do have some fan favourite names from what is NXTGEN Racing series, including what is your reigning Pro-Am champion from the recent season of the NXTCC from season 5, and that is Isaac Doble, albeit currently parked in the pit lane there in the Vauxhall Astra and getting ready to go. The car currently being altered in terms of fuel being put in the car and just waiting to head out there. We also do have Jamie Dory currently parked up, although you can't quite see him. He's going to be in the Seat Cupra and getting himself all set and ready to go there. Running the colours, I do believe, of Bobby Thompson, unless I'm mistaken. And we also do have out there what is Mark Sykes, parked up a little bit further back in the number 97 at Vauxhall as well. And as he gets himself set and ready to go, well, he's looking to battle just outside the top 10 from what I've been able to discern from him and the team down the pit lane. We also do have Andrew Holmes making his way on around right now in what is the Chiltern machine as he heads on through turn number 5 there. And as he comes on through the right hand, right now looking to go a bit faster, perhaps the I-30 driver, but still, he's still got 13 seconds left in practice. And then we are going to, of course, have that first qualifying session of the season. We also do have Jonathan Collins, who's parked up, and I believe Joe Lane may have just joined us. So 20 drivers in attendance today, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be quite a packed grid. Checker flag is out on this final practice session, and you know what that means. It's going to be time very shortly to go into qualifying. Without further ado, first qualifying session is coming up, and who is going to be on pole, we're going to find out shortly. But we do say hello there to Rich Wetherill in the Facebook chat, who's cheering on what is there Alan Axon and also Lloyd Biddle for the win. And well, as all the drivers gradually make the way into the pit lane here, and that's enough in terms of this practice. And now they've got to mean business at the front end of the field if they want to be on pole. Well, Lee Horn here just gradually bringing the car down the hill, but I believe a lot of our drivers being taken back to the pits there by the automated system. And we should point out, by the way, if there are any discrepancies or issues with the broadcast today, you'll have to forgive us, as this is the first time we've ever hosted a series on rFactor2. So we here at NXTGEN Racing are learning as we go, and indeed it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to do our best to get as close as perfect. And if you've got any feedback as you go along, of course, do feel free to pop it in any of your chats and we'll keep an eye on it. And if we can't make adjustments today in the broadcast, we'll definitely look to make those adjustments in a preparation for a week's time at Donington Park. Without further ado, the clock goes down for 15 minutes. It is time time for qualifying. We do have a couple of drivers parked down in what is the Martian area there, including Andrea Alberti, and also what is, I do believe, beside him at the number 40 car of Lee Horn. And they're currently set and ready to go. We've also got Jamie Dory charging his way out of the pit lane there. As he does so, it's go, go, go for all the drivers here. They don't have all the time in the world as Dorian makes his way on down. And as they all do, we jump on board here with Jamie Dory as he makes his way past the pit limited line and starts to build up speed. So what do you need to be able to put the car on pole here at Brands Hatch Indy in qualifying? Well, the aim of the game around here is it's all going to come down to precision. With the lap so short, we only consist of 5 corners and just over what is 1.2 miles of distance, which does mean here every thousandth matters to the minor degree in terms of getting that throttle down within a thousandth of your exit druids, making your way into Graham Hill Bend and such forth. And Dorian will know that, much like all of our drivers will, in the fact around here, even the tiniest of mistakes could be the difference between you being on pole versus you being outside the top 5. As he makes his way into turns 4 and 5, he's going to spend some time here trying to get those brakes warmed up, and indeed also getting those tyres heated up. Albeit they'll get plenty of laps in this qualifying session. Indeed, it's a short pit lane as well, so they don't have to worry too much about spending too long in the pits when they come in and out of the pit lane. And he makes his way on the start-finish straight here, charging on to what will be his first flying lap of this season. Well, many of his rivals following him on around here, and well, that time will very quickly fade away, but we'll have to wait and see who starts to set the ultimate laps in terms of putting the car potentially on provisional pole, and we'll get some onboard laps for our drivers in due course as well. As he makes his way on down in towards Graham Hill Bend, we also do look to Alan Axon here as he makes his way on through in the Honda Civic tyre park, coming through turns 4 into 5, and as he does so, remember these Hondas are very strong for low speed corners. Perhaps haven't got it on the straights. We're expecting the BMWs to be the straight line machines on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend, but meanwhile the Hondas are going to be the cars to beat when it comes to that low speed cornering. And as Axon crosses the line, there goes P2, 1.7 tenths off of the initial pace set by Biddulph as he heads in towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. As he makes one through, they're running very wide, almost to the point of putting a wheel on to the gravel, but not quite in the end as he makes his way on around. But more times yet to come in from our drivers, but Phil Garside is the one who set the initial pace. What is 46.810, getting ahead of Biddulph, as we do have a brief yellow flag at sector 3, albeit I believe all clear right now. We've got any data to suggest as to what's caused that. Perhaps the driver just going slightly too deep, but as he makes his way up down towards what is Graham Hill Bend here, Garside through the left-hander he goes, and right now I think feeling as though there's plenty more work to do. Will be in the tail of another car in front of him, and that'll be the number 16 of Marco Griente. And as a result here, Garside might be gaining a little bit more time just having the slipstream of a rival, albeit he's got to be careful of the fact the rival doesn't make a mistake and he gets too close just like that. And Garside right now, I think will be a bit frustrated in what could have been an improving lap. Indeed, he was improving in the first sector, but now as he makes his way to a line, has that cost him too much time as he crosses the timeline? And indeed, for Garside, it's not going to be improving then. He might want to get a bit of space from his rival in front in order to get some breathing room to put a better lap in. As they exchange places here, and I think Garside doing exactly that. He wants to get ahead of Griente, but overcooks it under braking, and well, decides to make his way back to the pits immediately as a result. Meanwhile, we look to Joe Lane as the Vauxhall driver makes his way in towards turn number 1 in the Aaron Taylor Smith machine, and he just very sideways there, goodness me, and Lane catching the car. Well, that was very well handled, it must be said, as he heads up the hill. And well, a lot of the drivers here having to sort of settle themselves out now in terms of the fact you've got about 5 or 6 drivers together, and Lane really struggling with the car there as he brings it on down. In fact, well, the Hyundais behind also end up in a near-miss altercation with Lane, so I think there might be a few words between the two of them down the paddock after this qualifying session, albeit they won't have long before they go racing. And meanwhile, Ian Deeney making his way across the line here, currently in P13. Can he find a bit more time out there? Hampstead's moved up to P10, and that being, of course, none other than Aaron Hampstead, who's found a bit more time. Well, Deeney right now, I think feeling as though there's plenty of time out there, given the fact he's practically 1.5 seconds off of the provisional pole lap set by Lloyd Biddulph. And well, as Deeney goes a bit deep, let him through the number 27 of Fraser Rostance. In fact, that's not Fraser Rostance, that's Aaron Hampstead. We're definitely going to need to get our drivers to have 2 different door numbers, because having multiple drivers with the same door number may get a little bit taxing and confusing, but still we'll do what we can. Well, there, Rostance deciding to park up, respect to the fact more drivers making the way on through. He's going to be careful here as he pulls the grass, misinterpreting what could have been the Honda making its way on through, but I think both drivers there opting to go back to the pit lane. Well, meanwhile, Lloyd Biddulph making his way on down into Graham Hill Bend, and right now still holding pole by 1.5 tenths over Garside. And well, the Hyundai driver looking very strong here in the number 1 as he makes his way in to the left-hander, rolling through, running in the Tim Graham machine, of course, because Tom Ingram did in 2023 have the door number 1 in commemoration of taking what was his first ever BTCC crown. And as Biddulph makes his way out of the final corner, we are going to jump on board for a flying lap here of the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. makes his way charging up towards turn number 1, braking at what will be approximately 75 meters from quarter apex, rolling the car down and through, and as he does so, now making his way up towards turn number 2, going into Druid's Bend, and as he heads onto the brakes here, nice and late as he dares to dream to do so, and going on through the right hand, and now down towards what will be turn number 3, going into the braking zone, in fact back in the car slightly, I think trying to give himself a bit more breathing room to the car in front as he makes his way around, and well, as he does so, now building up the speed here into what is turn number 4. We're going to run on board with him for another lap because he has backed out of this lap compared to his previous one. And I think the sign, oh goodness me, and that is Joe Lane going to the barrier there, coming out of turn number 5. But Biddulph's going to go again now as he makes his way up to the timeline here. So we'll take you through this lap this time around. He makes his way in towards Paddock Hill Bend, brings the car naturally over to the left-hand side, looks at his marker, and braking now, be about 75 meters from quarter apex, drifting the car in, catching it with a bit of power on the understeer, and as he makes his way up the hill towards Druid's Bend, braking 100 meters from corner apex, trailing it into a late apex, mounting that curve. Oh, goodness me, and Biddulph up onto his roof there by going a bit too aggressively on the curb, and well, that is not the way you do it in qualifying, I can tell you that, but he's pushing it to the absolute limit, but I don't think you need to push it that far, as he's immediately had to retreat the car to the pits, but that was definitely a bit of a scary moment there for the provisional pole sitter, and I think that might have put his heart in his mouth for a degree, but meanwhile, as we look down the order here to what is Finn Targ, as Targ makes his way down the hill into turn number 3, well, no sign of him putting the Ford Focus on its roof by comparison. I think Biddulph's going to look back at that one, and there might be a chuckle down the pit lane, but also a bit of a scary moment indeed, as he makes his way in towards turn number 4 here, and the 116 driver right now getting himself set up and ready to go once again, as we say hello there in the YouTube chat to Robert Disunik Vine Capel, and well, very nice of you for the compliment there, Robert, and I hope you're doing well, and well, as we do see Targ making his way towards turn number 1, all right, now getting himself set up here, and we'll jump on board shortly with another one of our drivers to try and get a full flying lap of the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. It goes very wrong there for what is our driver, excuse me, on Targ, as he just drifts the car sideways. And I think those grip levels out there must be depreciating, albeit no rain from what I can see, although it is getting very dark over the circuit. There's a lot of cloud over the circuit as I look at my commentary booth window right now, and well, hopefully that's not a sign of things to come, because it'll definitely mix things up and it may lock the lap times down in terms of nobody's going to be able to improve if it does start raining, and that rain stays for the remainder of the qualifying session, or even if it just starts for a brief moment of spittle. I think that might just be enough to upset the run of qualifying. I mean, while speaking of a driver right now who'll be a little bit upset as the times are not coming to Jonathan Collins right now, as he makes his way on around there in the Seat Cupra. I think hoping he can find a bit more time. He's currently 6 seconds off of the pole lap set by Biddulph, but I think he is still trying to find his line and get himself into a sense of rhythm before he goes full attack in this qualifying session. And that's absolutely fair. Sometimes drivers need a little bit more time before they're able to get things done, and as he does so, right now we can see the data there showing you the different gear usage from Collins. He makes his way on through turn number 5 as he draws his way on through. Will this be an improvement lap? I think it is going to be. He in fact has gone personal best in both sectors 1 and 2, so I think it's going to be a little bit more of an indicator of what the 1, 2, 3 driver can do. As he crosses the timeline, we does slash that deficit to pole by what is 1.3 seconds, but there's still plenty more time out there as he goes a bit deep into turn 1, and things are not coming to him easily for Collins. I think he does need a bit more time to try and get things right, albeit he's running out of time here with only 6.5 minutes left on the clock. But meanwhile, looking from him, we do look to Isaac Doble, and he makes his way on down here into Graham Hill Bend, taking plenty of entry curve there, but that unsettles the car. You can see the right-hand side tyres getting mounted over the raised, what is a red and white curb, and then getting hooked on it as he tried to turn on in, and that caused the rear of the car to become unsettled. But running the car in honour of brother Mikey Doble, of course, who participated in the 2023 season and is expected to be back on the grid for the 2024 season, from what I gather, which would be absolutely fantastic to see. But right now, channeling his brother Mikey is Isaac as he makes his way up towards the timeline, and as he does so, heading in towards turn number 1. And what we do know, this Vauxhall, a bit of a relic compared to some of its peers on the grid in the 2023 season, but still a car was able to compete. Of course, the car that put it on pole in the hands of Mikey Doble at Silverstone National last year. And well, as Isaac makes his way around, he'll be looking to get inside the top 10 and take the fight. But this car, a little bit more power focused, perhaps not as strong in the handling aspects, albeit not quite in terms of straight line speed compared to, say, the BMWs, but it is a car that is very quick up that gearbox. And as he makes his way on through turns 4 and 5, they're going through McLaren and on to the brakes for clearways here. Well, right now, it does does look as though Isaac's starting to improve more and more as we say hello in the YouTube chat to Stefan Vessels. Good evening to you, Stefan. I hope you're doing well. And as Doble makes his way to the timeline here, what's it going to be as he comes on through? He is currently with half a second off a pole, and that lap time is registered, and it's not an improvement there with 5 minutes left on the clock in qualifying, and still some time to be found for Isaac Doble by looks of things as he makes his way onto the brakes. Meanwhile, we do look to the man who is right now parked in the pit lane. That's Phil Garside, and well, not going anywhere at this moment. I think waiting to see if conditions are going to improve at all, because it looks like lap times are just not coming forth for any of our drivers. As meanwhile, Lloyd Biddulph here making his way on around through turn number 3, and remember we were on board with him for a reference lap when the car ended up rolling onto its roof coming on through Druid's hairpin. And well, we're going to try and get another on-board lap with the man who's provisional pole sitter currently as he makes his way on around there. We do apologise for a little bit of a latency with regards to lobby. I think somebody leaving and rejoining. In fact, we've got Gonelli who's just joined, so we're going to have 21 drivers on the grid. But Biddulph makes his way to the line. Let's ride on board with him for a lap as he breaks his way into turn number 1. As he makes his way on through the opening right hand of their car, dancing on through. We get the gear and speed information as he breaks his way down from 108 miles an hour all the way down to the second gear, and coming on through the right, mounting that curve, getting it right this time as he now powers his way out the gearbox, absolutely stamping up to 4th gear. Now onto the brakes as lazy dares from 50 metres on through Graham Hill Bend, and now heading up towards what will be 5th gear as he heads in towards the left into right turn 4. As he rolls the car through, they just holds off the throttle slightly and then puts it onto the brakes here, hard on the brakes, 100 metres of quad apex, just the car kicking up there as he downshifted into 3rd. Indeed, having to try and get those quick downshifts in, but of course doing too aggressively, and it causes the rear of the car to let go. But as he makes his way to the timeline here, Biddulph not improving compared to his previous best. On going sector 3, Sana, he does improve, and in fact that is a new improved lap there, 46.653, albeit he does have Andrea Alberti who's improved and is now only 7.5 hundredths off of pole. So Alberti looking to come on strong here in the late stages of this qualifying session as Biddulph is trying to respond. He makes his way on around Graham Hill Bend once again. Well, Biddulph here definitely knowing that now he's got to raise the bar a little bit higher, because otherwise Andrea Alberti, you can see right behind here in the BMW 330, might just be looking to snatch away that pole position with only 3 minutes left in this qualifying session. And well, the thing about this right now is we've said these BMWs are very strong, albeit from what I've been hearing, speaking to some drivers down in the paddock last week in particular, when everyone was sorting out which car they're going to go with for this season, many were saying the BMW is a very strong car, but it's also a very sensitive car to drive in terms of the fact it has no middle ground. You've got to be full attack and just simply put your faith in the car. Alternatively, you're going to end up in the gravel or a tyre barrier, and many opting not to go with the BMW, but Alberti deciding to show his credentials here of running the German mark on around as he makes his way on downhill. Of course, in the BTCC, not all cars front engine front wheel drive, albeit they're all front engine if my memory serves me correctly, but a number of cars being rear wheel drive such as the BMW 330, and meanwhile the front engine drive machines and the will be the likes of what will be the Hyundai i30, also the Ford Focus, to name 2 of them out there. So you do have a mix of manufacturers on the grid bringing different drivetrains to the grid as well, and that does open the BTCC up quite interestingly compared to, say, TCR UK, which does have front engine front wheel drive only as well as stipulations. As Alberti made his way to the timeline there. Well, the downside, of course, in having what is front engine front wheel drive is the fact that the car will be much stronger in the early stage of the race, but with the front tyres doing all the hard work in terms of power deployment plus also turning, it means that those front tyres will wear down quicker compared to, say, the front engine rear wheel drive counterparts such as the BMW here, where it's the rear tyres doing the majority of the power deployment, so therefore the tyre wear is spread a little bit more in amongst the car, and it does give the BMWs a little bit more life when it comes to longer distance of the race. As Alberti makes his way on around here, well, not improving on that previous lap, looking to improve once again here. The previous lap in a 48.995. And we do have a little bit of sunshine coming out. The clouds starting to drift away, albeit by looks, since those lap times just not coming forward for anyone. Jamie Dory did improve on that last lap, to be fair. Alberti heads to the timeline here. It's a 46.802, still a 10th of his previous best of 46.728. Not enough. Meanwhile, Jamie Dory still pushing on here in the Cupra as he heads to the timeline. And what's it going to be for the Cupra driver this time around? He is currently with 4 tenths off a pole, and for Dory it's 47.038. He's got to be at his own time, and will not improve it on that one. Going again now, only what is 9 thousandths of Axon's time in P4 as he makes makes his way on to the brakes here. Well, it's going to be going down to the final laps now for all of our drivers. They haven't got long left, and as we do see Dory making his way on through, in fact, decides to go back to the pit lane, not happy with that lap and deciding that P5 will be the best he's able to do here. Meanwhile, Lee Horn making his way on around, currently in P9, and as he does so, well, I think Horny will be happy that he's right in the middle of the field, just ahead of what is rFactor2, and he heads in towards turn number 3 here. Horn right now just getting himself comfortably set as he makes his way in towards turns 4 and 5. He will not have one more lap after this. It's 10 seconds before the checker flag comes out. Indeed, when our drivers cross that finish line, if they're on a lap already, they are allowed to finish it, but otherwise, that's it. And Horn heads to the timeline. Is he going to be able to improve? He hasn't improved in sectors 1 and 2, and as he keeps it nice and tight over to the right-hand side, shortening the run, well, lets the car go in the end. And well, for Lee Horn, it's not going to be an improvement. It will be P9 at best. Can anybody improve out there? With Finn Targs trying to improve right now, and well, he did improve in the final sector on his previous lap. He didn't improve the overall lap, but he came close to it. And there's a billboard across the road there. Well, that's not going to be helping anybody. Albeit Targ grateful it's not on the racing line. And as he makes his way through turns 4 and 5, car bouncing around on the suspension as he hits the apex curve of turn 4, but goes very deep into the final corner as he roars his way out here. Can he find a way to improve? Most are drives in the pits. No, Targ makes his way into the pit lane, and Lee Horn's out there, but on a cool-down lap. So that is qualifying complete, ladies and gentlemen, and it is Lloyd Biddulph who takes the overall pole position for what is the first round of this season here at Brands Hatch Indy. A brilliant pole lap there from Biddulph, no question about it. And now I have Andrea Alberti, Alan Axon, Andrea Romy, Jamie Dory and Fraser Ostens completing what is your front 3 rows. 20 drivers in this qualifying session, all 20 have set lap times in, and well, we are now only moments away from heading to the grid for our first race of the season. And well, all the drivers right now back in the pit lane getting themselves set, but definitely a close qualifying session, only in the end what was 800 separating Biddulph and Alberti, and Axon in the end was literally an identical lap down to what was the 1,000 versus Alberti, so they were separated by 10,000, but Axon in P3 there. Well, goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, and well, we are now heading in to the warm-up phase, and therefore our drivers have a little bit of time to get themselves set. But with that, we're going to be right back. We're going to check in with race control, but I believe we will be advancing to the gridding procedure shortly, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly. Return, ladies and gentlemen. We're pleased to say that the warm-up is currently underway, but we are going to be seeing that advancement to the grid in due course within the next 9 minutes. We've just been checking in with race control, and it was Fraser Ostens makes his way on around here. All the drivers now absolutely chomping away at wanting to go racing, no doubt about it. And well, as we do say hello there to Gavino Pintus in the YouTube chat, it says less left foot, more right foot, go VRGT. And I believe that may be in reference to a few VRGT drivers who we've seen on our grids in the past, including Andrea Romy and also what is Andrea Alberti, unless I'm very much mistaken there. Well, a good number of drivers making their way back into the pit lane, but others still out on the circuit. And then we do have Mark Sykes parked up in the pit lane. And well, as everybody just waits to go racing here, it's an opportunity to cool some nerves, also take what is the gentleman's break, if you will, and also perhaps get a little bit of liquid refreshment on in, and also get the fuel back in the car, of course, for going racing, and change that brake bias. Some drivers may opt to change the brake balance of the car going into the race, from going from a very aggressive brake balance to a car that's perhaps a little bit less aggressive when it comes to going the race distance. The idea being that in qualifying, you can afford to really toss the car around, particularly when it's got less fuel in it, and the fact you're already just going for that one ultimate lap, perhaps 2 of them, perhaps a banker, or at least what is an additional warm-up lap, then going all in. Whereas when you do go racing, of course, over 20 minutes, where if you do the mathematics here of a lap time of what is just under 50 seconds, you're looking at the best part of what will be approximately 25 to 26 laps, and you need to make sure that the brakes and also the tyres are going to survive the distance, no question about it, and that will be on the minds of drivers. They'll want that brake bias to work for them, and also to give them a consistent car as the time goes on. But just to remind you, we are currently in what is the warm-up session ahead of race number 1. And, well, if we do see the clock tick on down there, it will tick down the final 8 minutes before we do go green flag racing. So if you haven't had a chance yet to get yourself some liquid refreshment, or if you do need that quick toilet break, now is the time to do it. Because once we go racing, I can assure you, you won't want to step away. And, well, Andrew Holmes right now just putting the laps down one after another here and just making sure to get himself all set and ready to go. I think he's trying to find a rhythm here, and he doesn't want to lose the rhythm before we go to the grid. And, well, as he makes his way on around and up towards the start-finish line here, getting himself all comfortably set and whatnot. Other things to talk about, of course, with regards to the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, one of 2 layouts here at the Kentish circuit, the other being the full Grand Prix layout, which runs its way into the local forest and around with 9 corners. And you normally do see the Brands Hatch Indy circuit open up or being towards the front end of the BTCC season, whereas Brands Hatch Grand Prix is normally the season finale or right towards the very end of the championship, although I do believe it's played host to the season finale for at least the last 3 years, if my memory serves me correctly, perhaps even longer than that. And of course, we do have a slight tweak to the BTCC calendar for 2024 with the re-arrival of what is Donington Park Grand Prix circuits combined with Donington Park National. And, well, that has been a huge statement for the 2024 calendar, no doubt about it. Whereas in 2023, of course, we had 2 rounds of racing at the Thruxton circuit, and, well, we've seen Thruxton later on in this season. But on top of that as well, this Brands Hatch circuit being one of the older circuits in the United Kingdom. Indeed, it's been raced around for many a decade, and this circuit's gradually evolved over the years, and it also does have a rally cross layout, I should say, which runs across the terrain that does separate Paddock Hill Bend in towards Graham Hill Bend. But we won't be seeing any rally cross today, hopefully, unless any of our drivers decide to trim some of the grass, and as the sun makes its way back out into the circuit here, we're not too far away from what is seeing the sunshine prevail on that grid. And as our drivers make their way through, we're just checking in with race control again. I do believe we are going to be seeing this warm-up session go all the distance there, so we do apologise for that. It's going to be a bit of a further delay before we do go to the grid for our first race of the season there. As Rostens makes his way up the hill, we also do look to Stefano Guiducci as the Italian driver. Well, I believe he's Italian, although don't quote me on that. I'm not quite sure his nationality, to be fair. But the Honda driver, I can definitely tell you he's driving a Honda, and as he makes his way up towards turn number 1, absolutely running it to the track limits there as he goes up to P5 in this warm-up, and, well, pushing the limits, no question about it, as he rolls the car on through there. And I think we're going to see quite a few drivers make their way to the very end of the track limits over the course of the race, and they'll look to use all that track width to overtake them more, and you have to do that if you want to find your way past a driver here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, given the fact that this circuit does offer enough space to go 2 wide at most places. 3 wide, however, I think you're pushing your luck, although you will see the occasional 3 wide into Druids and perhaps even into Paddock Hill Bend. It'll start off as 3 wide, but by the end of it, oh goodness me, as we see Guiducci there getting it wrong, and, well, pirouetting the car and just coming to a halt before the tyre barrier there as he makes his way back to the pit lane in the assembly area in particular. A lot of our drivers just waiting in their cars right now, and, well, I think all absolutely itching. Ian Deeney, meanwhile, parked up there practicing his starts in terms of the fact it will be a standing start, as is the tradition of the BTCC, and getting his launch all clocked in there. Remember, these machines do have hybrids. They're not just petrol powered machines, they do have a battery with them, and we'll be seeing plenty of hybrid deployment over the racing as well, and that's going to be a big question mark in terms of when do our drivers use the hybrid in order to be able to go for what will be a little bit more performance out the engine. It'll be worth the best part of 50 horsepower and potentially try to force an overtake or affect an overtake on the straight, such as the run coming on down here from Graham Hill Bend up towards McLaren. That's going to be one of the places where we may see the hybrid deployed and just give our drivers the edge to try and make a move happen. But as Ian Deeney makes his way on around in the Stephen Jelly machine, coming in towards turn number 5, more than number 12 driver here, qualifying a bit further down the order compared to perhaps where you'd like to in the BMW, and he's going to have to do things the hard way in terms of battening his way on through as he heads across the timeline right now. We do have a yellow flag in sector 1, just waiting to see who that will have been in terms of the yellow flag. But again, half our field out there, half our field are currently in the pit lane, and we are now only 3 minutes away from going into what is the gridded procedure, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, as most of our drivers sit in the pit lane, we do sit on board for a brief moment here. Jamie Dory's Cupra, and, well, right now just waiting to go is the number 19 driver, and, well, he's set himself up for success, qualifying inside what was the overall top 10, and he putting himself on what was the 3rd row of the grid, and, well, he'll be eager to try and make some progress early on. And we do know, from what I've had the opportunity to speak to Jamie Dory in the build-up to tonight, his main concern is the fact that he's got a lot of pace in the opening half of the race, But towards what will be at the end of the race, he's worried about the front tyres of this Cooper really going off, and he has found, particularly when we've got 5 minutes to go, the pace really starts to come out of the car, and that's when he becomes quite vulnerable to other roles, been able to save the tyres a bit better. Alternatively, the rear-wheel drive machines, including the BMWs. And a question there from Salbo_17 in the Twitch chat. Next Gen normally does racing in iRacing. Indeed, we do, Salbo, but for the purposes of what is a bit of an interlude between our NXTGEN seasons and iRacing, we decided to expand onto the rFactor2 platform. And indeed, this in a way you could see as a little bit of a flagship moment in terms of the fact if things do go well in this series, we may be very much open to continue to host other rFactor2 series and expand our resume, not just from iRacing, but have iRacing and rFactor2 on there. And of course, we have previously hosted a series, albeit about 2 years ago when we did the last one, on a set of course Competizione with one of the highest prize pools at the time when it was hosted, and that was the Assetto Corsa Competizione World Tour, where we did have that prize pool of $1,000 US. That was 2 years ago. We're here to today, and when there's no prizes this season, it's all about bragging rights. That's the main thing that will be on our drivers' minds. We're riding on board here with Lee Horn as he heads on around, as he heads up towards the timeline, as well as he gets himself comfortably set here all over the apex curve. And many a driver there will be mounting that curve at Paddock Hill Bend, and really, as they say, cocking a wheel with regards to that rear right wheel. It's going to be for Lee and indeed many of his roles to get things right time and time again. Consistency is going to be ever so important when we do go in flag racing. As he makes his way on around, then we look to the exterior cameras once again. Not too long now, ladies and gentlemen, only a minute before we do go into the gridding procedure. And as we do, I do believe when we do go to races 2 and 3, we won't have as long an interlude before we do go racing there. And as he makes his way in to the pit lane, number 40 driver, getting himself comfortably set here, and recognise now it's time to bring the car in, because very shortly he's going to be going back out there again, and it's going to be time to go racing at once more. As meanwhile, our pole sitter, for the purposes of our first race of the season, Lloyd Biddulph still out there on a 46.7 at 1.9 in this warm-up, and we're feeling as though right now he'll take every lap he can, and he wants to lay down a marker today that it's not just the door number 1 in his car, but he's number 1 for a reason, and that's because he's the fastest driver out there. As he makes his way into the pits, will that be the way it plays out when we do go racing, or could we see some surprises? All that and more is plenty to be in store very soon, but he has been the fastest driver out there in all 3 sessions so far, and Biddulph, I think, will have the confidence teaming right now. But Fraser Austin makes his way across the line. Well, it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, and that is the warm-up complete, ladies and gentlemen. It is now definitely time for our drivers to make their way to the grid for race number 1. We do have Alessio Ganelli still out there, but I believe all drivers will be called into the pits very shortly if they haven't already made their way in. And as he does so, in fact, there we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
And well, as we've had the announcement there that the grid needs to be cleared, and indeed all of our drivers will be making their way out of what will be the pit lane and going onto the grid. Here they go, they all begin to line up, and well, in true fashion, it's not going to be just literally a launch off the line and start. They will get a formation lap and they'll pull into their grid slots, as I'm to understand it, and we will take you through that grid order when they make their way away for what will be the warm-up lap here. And as all the drivers get themselves all prepped and ready to go, well, give us a brief moment and we will start to take you through that grid order as soon as we can, but albeit as our drivers make their way into position. Well, here is your order for our first race of the season. It is going to be Lloyd Biddulph, who has taken a pole position in the Hyundai ahead of Andrea Alberti in the BMW Starts P2. Alan Axon and Andrea Romy line up on your second row of the grid, the Honda ahead of the BMW. On round number 3, it's Phil Garside ahead of Jamie Dorey, with Fraser Roston's P7 there in the Ford behind the Cupra, and Isaac Doe will complete in your top 8. We then will have behind him, will be row at number 5, Stefan Gudici and Lee Horn, who complete what is your top 10. And then on row number 6, Darren Raffaetta and Finn Targ, who complete what is the run to P12. We then have on row number 7 the pair of Andrew Holmes in the Hyundai and the Vauxhall of Mark Sykes. And then we'll have on row number 8 Adam Delmont starting P15 in the Hyundai and the Ford of Aaron Hampstead in P16. And then we'll be on our last 2 full rows of the grid, Ian Deeney P17 in the BMW ahead of Marco Granti in the Honda. Joe Lane starts P19 in the Vauxhall ahead of Alessio Ganelli, who starts P20. And I do believe that is going to be our full order, ladies and gentlemen. 20 starters all in position, making their way around on to the grid. But as the grid gets itself set right now, and indeed it's going to be Lloyd Biddulph who lines them up, and he'll be taking his slot at the very front, the number 1 slot for the number 1 door number driver, as he gets himself into position. All the drivers just gradually making their way through on behind right now. We look back to Aaron Hampstead for a brief moment. Indeed, it's a long waiting time at what will be the front of the field when you get there, but everyone pulling in to their positions, and as they do, we look to Lloyd Biddulph, who'll be taking us away for the green. We do seem to have a car going down the pit lane, so it's going to be a pit lane start for one of our drivers, ladies and gentlemen. But otherwise, I think we are going to get the green flag procedure to go, albeit we do have Phil Garside in the pit lane. I think something may have gone wrong with the Honda. And the lights are going on. It's lights out and away we go for the first race of the season, the BTCC Mini League hosted by NXTGEN Racing, as Garside makes way out the pit lane, but meanwhile Biddulph on the inside defending here versus Alberti, as Alberti goes on the attack immediately into turn 1. They roar their way through Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, and as all the drivers make their way up the hill, and an accident under pressure from which Jamie Dory, as Andrea Romy trying to look for a move as well around the outside, but Axon defends hard in the Honda as they make their way through Druids Bend. Now coming down into Graham Hill, everyone 2 by 2 as they go further down the order. Lee Horn right now getting stuck in there, tucking inside Stefano Guidici as they make their way through left hand. A couple of cars going right as they make their way out to Graham Hill Bend, but everyone's surviving the opening 3 corners. Fantastic to see as they now make their way up the rise and into what we turns 4 and 5. But onto the brakes here, cold brakes and cold tyres. This is going to make things hard as they roll them through and complete the first lap of racing. Still 19 minutes to go. It's a long race, this one, when you consider the length of the circuit. Multiple cars running wide there in the rearview picture, including Wes Mark Sykes and also, I believe, none other than Joe Lane and Alessio Ganelli. Ganelli, in fact, picking his way on through, and as they make their way up towards the timing line, we're right now going on to lap number 2. Indeed, well, we're going to look from these guys back towards the front of the field, and after 1 lap of racing, Lloyd Biddulph has held the lead. And of Andrea Alberti P2, followed by Alan Axton P3, Jamie Dory P4, Andrea Romy P5, Fraser Austin's P6, followed by Isaac Dole P7, Lee Horn P8, and then we have Stefano Guidici P9 ahead of Andrew Holmes P10, and that's your top 10 with Dario rFactor behind Ian P11. Speaking of which, rFactor they're battling side by side with what will be none other than, I do believe, Finn Targ, and making his way on around there and just getting it done as he heads into the braking zone. And as they do, on the inside there's contact between himself and Andrew Holmes, but in the end he will make his way on through, albeit I think there will be a little bit of question mark in regards to that one as they make their way on towards turn at number 1 once again. And in fact, there we should correct ourselves. That is Finn Targ battling side by side with what was Dario rFactor and making the move there. So it's Targ making the move in towards turn at number 5. We apologise for the confusion. And as they come on down through turn at number 1 up towards turn number 2, on the charge they go. Well, right now we do look to the drivers. They make their way into the braking zone. You can see rFactor trying to come back, but getting a little bit wrong on the braking. And Targ feeling quite safe there as they make their way in towards Graham Hill Bend. And 9, the pressure's no longer going to be with him. But meanwhile, as we look from our P11 drivers now started to break away to a little bit further up the road, we look here to Isaac Doble, who finds himself in a bit of a nip and tuck. It's going to get very close there as he looks up the inside of Fraser Rostens. Rostens in the Ford Focus defending. Meanwhile, Andrea Romy and Alan Axon battling side by side. Oh, good speed, and it gets very sideways there for Axon, and it's going to be almost 3 wide as they charge their way into on the straight, and as they make their way out towards Paddock Hill Bend, where everyone right now fighting and teaming for position. We've got Honda on the inside, contact with Rostens. Rostens going to lose the rear of the car. Bit of a rear tap there to what is the Vauxhall of none other than Lee Horn as he makes one through, but Horn able to survive that. And how on earth Guidici is still pointing in the right direction, I'm never going to know. But I can tell you one thing, the Honda driver there absolutely cures the cucumber and bringing that car back together. But as they make their way down through 2 and in towards 3, where it's incredible racing right now. It's not over yet as Guidici battling on the inside. Well, in fact, Guidici breaking away, but meanwhile Andrew Holmes on the inside there at Finn Targ as they make their way up towards turn at number 4. And as they do so a bit further behind Adam Delmont here, now looking to try and get stuck in versus what will be be Aaron Hempstead. Hempstead having to look for the move of Marco Griente, but Griente making the move instead for P13. And Delmont on the inside here as they made the way out of the final corner. Onto the start-finish straight they go. Both drivers absolutely on the offensive here in terms of using all the power available to them. But will Delmont have enough as they make the way up towards Paddock Hill Bend? We can see a bit of space being given there by Hempstead. Hempstead taking a bit of grass. Delmont's on the inside. It's a classic move into Paddock Hill Bend, but he gets stopped in time, and yes, he does. They make the way up the hill, but here comes Hempstead. Hempstead looking back up the inside in towards Druids. Respectful racing being given and doled out in equal measure. Too wide they go on through turn number 1 and 2, and now down towards 3 as they roar their way in towards the braking zone, rubbing doors. And as they do, well, there Hempstead not quite able to find his way back, and therefore Delmont finally gets the move done, albeit not without challenge, as they make the way in towards turns 4 and 5. But as they come through the left and into the right, Hempstead right now back on the offensive as he makes his way on through the right hander, and onwards he goes towards the next lap. And brilliant racing between these two, but not to just look at them, but also look at the front of the field. 1T right now looking to P3. This is Jamie Dory dancing and slicing his way through Paddock Hill Bend. He's breaking away from Alan Axon, but the top two of Biddulph and Alberti have just run away at the front of the field. They're in a completely different dimension by comparison in terms of the speed, as meanwhile we've got Jamie Dory really leading the rest of the field. And this right now, I'm not going to lie, I'm getting flashbacks to Bobby Thompson when he did race here. Was, I do believe, back in 2022, unless I'm mistaken, albeit it was the Brantash Grand Prix circuit, and in the end leading a huge portion of the field on home as he made his way on around. And right now Dory challenging the Thompson, albeit getting a bit wrong there coming through 5, and as he makes his way around, Alan Axon now looking on the inside, and Dory goes wider even more still, and it's going to be Alan Axon moves up into P3. Here comes Andrea Romy as well. Romy on the inside now, and Dory's going to lose 2 places for the price of 1 mistake. He's going to try and come back here, but Romy's not going to let it go, and the BMW driver finally picks up the P4 he's been waiting for some time as they make the way up the hill into Druid's corner. But onto the brakes they go, and everybody once again line astern here and tucking in, and Lee Hornet just behind as we do ride on board with the Vauxhall driver in the number 40, and as he makes his way through the left-hander turn number 3. Horn right now I think is going to be focusing more and more on just simply keeping the car in position and being smart with where he places the car, and as he makes his way on through it, turns 4 and 5, mounting the curve there absolutely aggressively. We can see Horn right now only what is half a second separated from Dory, Romy and Axon. All 4 drivers there separated in such a slender margin, and as they roar their way onwards towards what will be turn 1 this time around, we're going all the way in towards the braking zone. We do have a drive-through penalty for Joe Lane, and I do believe he's going to come into the pits to serve that very shortly. Fintalg's had to retire from this race. We do have 1 driver retired, meanwhile 1 driver 2 laps down. Meanwhile back on the inside, let's go to Romy defending versus Dory as he tries to sneak a move on Axon. In the end, Horn just watching from behind here as they make the way down, but nobody really able to find the move at this point. We can see they're all bustling and jostling here as they make their way through the left hand. They've got Joe Lane a little bit further up the road from them, who I think they'll be concerned about the fact he's got blue flags waving. He'll have to let them go, but as they make the way through the left into right here, this could present an opportunity for Romy to try and make a move on Axon, because they're going to catch Lane as they make the way into 5, and as they come on through the corner, Axon's all out of sorts. He goes a bit deep. Lane into the pits there in order to serve his drive-through penalty, and as they make the way on the charge here, no change between the drivers, but Lee Horner right now I think eagerly awaiting the opportunity or the prospect to try and make a move. Meanwhile, look back to Alan Axon holding on to P3, and as he does so, well, meanwhile from these guys we do need to look back to the very front of the field, because right now what was a brilliant start for Lloyd Biddulph with Andrea Alberti going on the attack immediately, well, the gap opened up to 1.5 seconds, and now the gap is back down to 3/10. They make the way out of Graham Hill Bend. They've cleared off to the best part of 6.5 seconds clear of Axon in P3, but right now Biddulph is not clear as Alberti continues to try and put the pressure on as they roll their way on through the right-hander turn number 5. But as they come on through the right and now on towards the start-finish straight they go. You can see how close that gap is on the graphic in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It's less than 2 tenths here, and this could be an opportunity. Alberti will have the speed in the BMW. That Hyundai's not the fastest on the straights, but what it does have is a brilliant mid-box gear range as they make the way on through turn number 1. In fact, 3rd and 4th gear, they're very snappy in the Hyundai. Meanwhile, the BMW really building up speed, and here comes Alberti looking up the inside, and he goes for it. Does he go too deep? Well, back comes Biddulph on the inside. They rub doors. There's contact between the 2 of them, but that's touring cars. They make the way down to Graham Hill Bend. Alberti, importantly, is on what is the inside there, Graham Hill, and now Biddulph trying to come back will deploy the hybrid. Contact between the 2 of them, and Alberti's into the barrier, and as he comes on through, well, Biddulph takes the place, but I think that Alberti will not be too pleased at all. I think both drivers would argue they had the right to the space, but only one of them will make it out of that contact in the end, and Alan Axon now finds himself promoted up towards what will be P2, and well, that is a surprise and not a welcome to be sure, and I think we've just seen the formation of a rivalry for this season between Biddulph and Alberti in what was actually brilliant racing, but it's all ended its is. But as they make the way on to another lap, well, here comes Alan Axon. They're now really fighting for P2 versus Jamie Dory with what is Andrea Romy, Lee Horn and Fraser Rostance in tow, and also Isaac Dover. And we've got a six-way fight for second place, and Axon having to defend every corner at this rate if he wants to try and hold on here. It's so close as they make the way down the hill and in towards Graham Hill Bend they go once again. But as they do, the problem for Axon here is the fact that every time he's made to go defensive, he just takes more and more pace out the car. He takes more and more life out the front tyres, and he's also got to be careful about the fact he doesn't want to overheat that engine as he makes his way up towards turn at number 5. It's not too hot conditions here today. I do believe we have an ambient of somewhere in the region of 18 degrees. Oh, goodness me, what on earth has happened there? Well, a bit of latency on the server potentially, but all the drivers have rematerialised from the internet ether, and Axon's still there. Oh, here comes Dory looking on the inside. He can't quite find it, and the Cooper just hasn't got enough as they make the way through Paddock Hill Bend, drifting there. Such is the aggression that Dory's having to throw at this in order to try and come through, but runs a bit deep. And as a result, now here comes Andrea Romy getting closer and closer, but we also got rFactor2 started to close up to the back of this, so it means that the longer these guys fight, the more we're going to be seeing the pack start to bunch up. And as they come through the left-hander turn at number 3, well, I can tell you that right now Bertie's in the pit lane after the instant with Biddulph coming down here in towards turn at number 4, so that car has been retired unfortunately due to damage picked up after that nasty shunt to the wall. And well, I think they'll have a word or two about that after the race has concluded today. They've still got 2 more races to go, remember, ladies and gentlemen, so this is just your first race of the evening as our drivers roar their way onto the start finish straight. Well, absolutely incredible scenes here as they make the way in towards turn number 1 once again, and right now it could be any one of 6 drivers who takes the second place spot, with Biddulph just breaking away at the front of the field, 5 seconds clear, albeit I wonder if Biddulph's perhaps got some damage from that contact of Alberti, and it's cost him some pace, given the fact the gap has come down to 5 seconds, albeit it continues to oscillate. We'll have to wait and see, but meanwhile, from our drivers who we're looking at, we do have some battling going on further down the order between Andrew Holmes and Dario rFactor in the battle of the 2 Hyundais, and Holmes being tapped there as rFactor goes on through, and well, for the Hyundai driver, it ends up in the grass there as another Hyundai driver makes his way on through, but Dario rFactor there, I think, would argue that he had his nose cut off, and I think Holmes would say, well, there's never any space for you, and I think that might be another conversation the two of them will have in the paddock after the racing as he makes his way on through. But we still do have, from the battling further down the order, that has gone quiet with a number of drivers in the pit lane having repair work done to the car or being multiple laps down. We still do have this absolutely brilliant battle for P2 of 6 cars. They make the way up the hill as we say hello in the YouTube chat to Costa Chats Continental. I do believe that you'll see on the grid in future Next Gen Racing series, no doubt about it. And as they make the way in towards turn number 3, well, right now Alan Axon, I think, has found himself some breathing room, found himself some time and space to contemplate how he's going to defend it. And in fact, Andrea Romy has moved into P3 whilst we've looked away for a brief moment. So Jamie Dory has been passed by the BMW driver, and Romy continues to go on the offensive here as he makes his way on through turn number 5. And in fact, getting a very good exit out of the corner. We jump on board here with Romy as he builds up the speed, and looking at the data in the bottom right corner of your screen, already into 5th gear here. This BMW absolutely colossal in the amount of speed it gains on the straight, all the way up to 131 miles an hour, and then just gently down the gearbox to 4th gear, and to balance the brakes and some throttle as well, overlaying there to try and settle the car down as he makes his way in towards turn number 2. Will come in hard on the brakes there, all the way down, car running wide. That will be none other than Joe Lane, I do believe, who's still out there 3 laps down and carrying on the race, which is great to see. But as they make the way in and through a left-hander, where it's going to be Romy close behind as they make the way on the short stretch up towards turn number 4, and into left-hander they go. And as they do, well, will he be able to find a way on through? I don't think so. He's trying to set up the move onto the start for this straight. You see, trying to cut it back, but Axon knows what's coming and decides to park the car on the apex and just simply hold his line. When it does work out, we do have a penalty for Mark Sykes. I do believe that's going to be a drive-through penalty that's going to have to be served by the Vauxhall driver as they make the way into turn 1, and Axon finding some traffic as it leaves the pit lane. That's going to be Sykes at the worst possible moment. Axon loses a lot of speed here, and Romy's going to see the opportunity. Axon goes defensive. Romy looks around the outside, and as they make the way onto the brakes here, 2 wide they go to Druids, but will it be 2 wide on the exit? My gut feeling says yes, it will. Some power oversteer there for Romy, but he's still got the car alongside. Axon is going to try and hold it around the outside. He can't find it. Dory comes storming on through behind, and that's going to be up to P3 for Dory, but now he's going to have a chance at P2 as Romy hasn't got the speeder as they go to turn 4. 2 wide they go into the left-hander, into the right they will merge, but which one of them will be leading this battle as they come into turn 5? Well, Romy's got the inside, but Dory's still there on the outside. He's got the space, but he goes so deep, in fact, that's going to bring Axon back into the fight as they make the way onto the start-finish straight. Still 7 minutes to go here in the first race of the day at Brands Hatch Indy. Absolutely brilliant racing, and Axon gets back ahead of Dory as they make the way into Paddock Hill Bend. This couldn't be made up right now. It's writing itself as this race as they make the way down the hill, and Dory cutting a huge swathe out of the apex there, Paddock Hill Bend. He's not happy being passed by Axon, and as he goes onto the brakes, well, Axon, they're defending every right to do so in the Halfords Cataclean machine, and as they come down towards the turn, I'm afraid, well, right now, the Sayat Cooper is just having to wait for his opportunity. It can't find a way into the fight, but as they make the way on towards turn number 4, well, from them, we do have another battles right now staying close. We're going to stay with this battle all the way to the end, ladies and gentlemen, if that's okay with yourselves, because right now, any moment, we could see other drivers come up behind and really push into this battle. Keep in mind, you've got Isaac Doble all the way at the back of the battle with P7 here looking for an opportunity to get involved, and as they make the way on at the start for this straight and roaring on through, we can see Axon really does seem to be the cork in the proverbial bottle as Andrea Romy has already run off with this to the best part of not 1.3 seconds, 6/10. So it does seem as though Axon right now is the driver. Everyone's got to find their way and pass, but Axon doing a phenomenal job to just simply frustrate Dory and cause everybody to queue up here. But the problem is, of course, the more they fight, the more that Romy can just break away for P2 and potentially look to chase down Biddulph, albeit with the gap to leader now being 7.8 seconds. I think that's going to be a much harder question to try and answer in terms of whether he can close that down. But I mean, well, Axon is still carrying on with 20 starters and currently running was the best part of 15 drivers, albeit some a lap down or two. Well, right now, this lead at lap battle as Dory then gets the better run out to turn 5. Axon goes deep, but I think the front tyres are giving way on that Honda as they power their way on towards Paddock Hill Bend, and looking in behind is Lee Horn, albeit he starts in behind Dory, but look at the speed that the Honda comes back on front. I think that's the hybrid being deployed there, and I think Dory may not have enough hybrid left anymore to really be able to use it as much as Axon in return. Well, he doesn't get the best run at Paddock Hill Bend. Up the hill they go, and as they do, it's going to be Horn on the inside now, try and look for the move, and Lee Horn does exactly that. Takes P4 of Axon. I think for everything that he's thrown at it, Alan Axon has taken the life out of the car as Fraser Rostons on the inside there of what is Isaac Doble. It's Isaac Doble trying to make the move around the outside into Graham Hill Bend. Well, this is going to be bold, and both drivers are going to be brave here as they go side by side into turn 4, through left into right, and McLaren they go, and as they do, Isaac Doble gets back ahead, and Fraser Rostons loses P6 out to Isaac Doble for a brief moment. Nose to tail there as they emerge from the corner. Car running off into the gravel. That is going to be, I do believe that's not Lee Horn. I think that's the car that's a lap down that's just been towed to the pit. But as they make the way onto the start finish straight, well, that is going to be still Fraser Rostons looking around the outside. They're trying to cut back on the run through Paddock Hill Bend versus Doble. Can he find a way on in? It doesn't look like it right now, although Doble does go a little bit deep out the corner, but Rostons hasn't got the speed up the hill, and I think this battle will finally come to a conclusion. As we are back in P8, here is Darren rFactor, and right now the Hyundai driver, he's brought the gap down to what is this P2 through to P7 fight. He's brought it down to 2 seconds and is getting closer and closer with every lap turned here. But has he got enough time in the day to do this, given the fact it's 4 minutes to go? That's going to equate to approximately 5 to 6 laps, depending on where our leader is. And well, right now rFactor will know that time is running out if he wants to try and have a shot at a top 5 finish in this race. But he's got 2 more races to go, so he won't be too frustrated if he doesn't get it this first time around. But meanwhile, one driver right now, I think he might be driving with a degree of frustration, is Jamie Dory. He's enjoyed the race, no doubt about it, but I do wonder whether the Cupra driver perhaps will be feeling as though that P2 should have been his to fight and hold on to, as Romy just continues to run away, and now Lee Horn is starting to inch close here for the final spot of the podium. As they come on through Druids and down towards Graham Hill Bend, things go quiet a little bit, but I think this is going to be the calm before the proverbial storm as they come in towards the left-hander here of turn number 3, and on towards 4-5 they go, and as they roar their way through on the left into right here, with Dory right now driving so fast that a cameraman can't keep up on the swivel. When they break the way in to the right-hander, it does look as though Horn throwing everything at us, but I wonder as well whether he's starting to feel the pinch of front tyre, where indeed the front engine front wheel drive machines right now definitely batting against that tyre degradation as they make the way on to another lap, roaring onto with 3 minutes of racing remaining now. And meanwhile, Isaac Doble continues to close up on Alan Axon. Axon now only for Isaac Doble 1.2 seconds up the road, and we're just inching closer and closer every lap turned, albeit that last lap Axon in fact a tenth faster, but the main trend has been that Doble has been starting to cut that gap down by half a tenth a lap, and then he's going to need a little bit more if he wants to get this gap down enough to be able to be in an attacking position come at the very end of this race. As I'm sorry to announce, ladies and gentlemen, we do now have a 6th retirement from this race, and that is in the form of Joe Lane, so therefore it does mean our 20 starters 14 remaining, 2 or 3 laps down the form of Sykes and Garanti. And meanwhile, we do have 12 drives on the lead lap, and we're all pushing on right now as this race comes towards its natural conclusion. But meanwhile, looking back to your race leader here of Lloyd Biddulph, the Hyundai driver, of course, in a little bit of a controversial incident between himself and what was Alberti. Andrew Alberti, as they made the way out of turn 3 and up towards turn 4, and well, there's no stewarding in effect for this series in terms of live stewarding. I don't think there's a major plan to have any formal stewarding for this series, given it is a one-off fun series, at least for the time being, and therefore all the drivers right now expected to enjoy themselves, but also at the same time race fairly. I think they might just have a little conversation about that one after the racing. But coming back to the P3 drivers, you'll see Andrea Romy cutting through for P2. Right now, Jamie Dory still trying to hold on 7 attempts between himself and Lee Horn as they make the way onto the next lap. And as they do so, we say hello there to Handsome Stu, who says, so glad we still got Tuesday night racing to watch in the YouTube chat. Great race so far, and glad to you enjoy yourself, Handsome Stu. Indeed, this has been an absolutely phenomenal race for the first race of the 12 race season. And of course, we do see Alan Axon there taking a bit of a trip to the gravel. I think we're going to be seeing our drivers mostly cool down now, albeit you never know what can happen on those closing laps. Indeed, a bit of complacency can always lead to a major mistake. But Lee Horn throwing everything at this right now for the final spot of the podium, but I don't think he's going to be close enough here in order to be able to make this move happen unless Dory makes a major error, and that can bring Horn right into the mix. As they come up towards turn number 5, but then for what will be the penultimate time as your race leader has gone on to the final lap as he passes my commentary booth window. Well, I can tell you the gap to Lloyd Biddulph from Andrea Romy has now been cut down to 6.4 seconds, albeit the best lap of the race being set by Lloyd Biddulph in the early stages, what was a 46.748, given the pace he was showing, and also the use of the hybrid to try and break away. But as Horn charges way up the hill and in towards turn number 2, Alan Axon, meanwhile, still there behind, albeit that Honda, I think, really struggling against tyre wear right now. He's been able to get away from Isaac Doble, interestingly enough, so therefore there's not all the pace has not left the car yet, but the point Axon has here in the fact he's just, I think, trying to hold on to some tyre life. But meanwhile, as he makes about the final corner, will we get another lap here for Lloyd Biddulph as he makes his way on through? I think we will. We'll just squeeze one more lap in, and in fact, he'll go the distance there to go on to a final lap of race, and the clock strikes 0, and that means the next lap is the final one. But as he makes his way on down, here is your second place driver, Andrea Romy. So here, I think they'll be a bit surprised they've got one extra lap in here. And I do believe this is the best part now, if my maths is correct, of something in the region of 27 laps have been turned once Romy makes his way on through turn number 2 and down towards 3. I don't think he'll be too upset about the fact he hasn't been able to bring home the win, but the fact he'll feel like a winner for just getting into P2 and breaking away from Dory and Horn. Speaking of Jamie Dory and Horn, well, the gap still is the best part of what is there, half a second between them, but no signs of closing between the two drivers. But meanwhile, making his way to the timeline, it's going to be the first win of the season, and it's going to go to none other than Lloyd Biddulph, who takes the checker flag for the first race of the day here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Behind him will be Andrea Romy to take second place in the BMW behind the Hyundai driver, and Jamie Dory will hold on to the final spot of the podium in the Seat Cupra in P3 ahead of Lee Horn. Alan Axon in an absolutely stoic P5 drive ahead of Isaac Doble, with Fraser Austin's P7, Dario rFactor P8, Adam Delman coming on through in P9, and then to complete your top 10 it will be Ian Deeney, who makes his way, having started from towards the very back of the grid. The BMW drivers held on here, and whilst he will be chased by Aaron Hempstead's line, he will in the end bring it on home in what will be P10, Hempstead at P11, and then it will be what is Andrew Holmes at P12 here as he sits a bit further back. He's got a little bit of a way to go, but he'll be your last lead lap finisher as he makes his way into the last corner here of turn number 5. But what a first race of the season, ladies and gentlemen, no question about it. And well, in the end, Andrew Holmes classified as a lap down, it would seem. He'll take P12, knowing that the drivers behind him cannot pass him because they were 2 laps down. So he'll be P12 ahead of Granty, Sonics, Garside, and Garside marking your first retirement from the race on non-finisher. We also had Joe Lane with the retirement also there. I do believe not Marco Granti, but what was Alessio Ganelli, Andrea Alberti at P18 as a non-finisher, also Stefano Guidici and Finn Targ there, your 20th place driver in a DNF. But as all drivers come into the pit lane, an absolutely thrilling first race of the season. And more, ladies and gentlemen, we have got plenty more coming up in what will be our upcoming races shortly. And well, if we can get those race results on screen, after 26 laps turned in the end, Lloyd Biddulph, your winner there, ahead of Andrea Romy and Jamie Dory, who completed your top three. Lee Horn at P4 ahead of Alan Axon, and Isaac Doble, Fraser Ostens, Darren rFactor2, Adam Delman and Ian Deeney completing your top 10. And well, outside the top 10, we can see that Aaron Hempstead at P11 ahead of Andrew Holmes, with Marco Garanti at P13, Mark Sykes P14. They're both drivers 2 laps down. And then your retirees are Phil Garside, Joe Lane, Alessio Ganelli, Andrea Alberti, and that unfortunate incident in the battle for the win, Stefano Guidici and Finn Targ. Well, that's how they all finished, ladies and gentlemen, subject to short inquiries, of course. But with that, we now do have another race upcoming, and we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set for the transition to race number 2, and we'll be back in approximately what will be 5 to 10 minutes time for the build-up and plenty more. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. Race 2 at Brands Hatch Indy is coming up very soon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are back then for the build-up to race number 2. And we are here, of course, and none other than the Brands Hatch Indy circuit in the United Kingdom and, well, in the county of Kent for what is race number 2 of round 1 of the NXTGEN Racing British Touring Car Championship Mini League. And, well, so far, it has been an absolutely phenomenal start to a season. A new frontier here at NXTGEN Racing, and so many of you, it's been pleasing to see, have been enjoying it in the YouTube, Facebook, alternatively the Twitch chat, as we do say hello there to T6 Motorsport in the YouTube chat, who's cheering on Lloyd Biddulph and also Alan Axon there, the T6 boys. And, well, do let us know your thoughts on race number 1, ladies and gentlemen. We had a runaway winner in the end of Lloyd Biddulph, albeit not without a small incident between himself and main rival of none other and Andrea Alberti, and we're expecting plenty more from them in race number 2, albeit we also had a fantastic battle for what was the 2nd spot on the podium in the end. And, well, after all the racing was said and done, it went to none other than Andrea Romy, who took on home the result after having to fight his way past Jamie Dory and also Lee Horn. But we are only 1.5 minutes away from going to the gridding procedure. It may say there that the warm-up is 6.5 minutes away from being complete, but our drivers have been told that they will see the warm-up session advanced at what will be the 5-minute mark there, which is using that in order to give our drivers a little bit more time to get themselves set. And indeed, as we acquaint ourselves with running the rFactor2 server, the things are going quite smoothly so far, not just for the server but also for the racing, and all 21 of our drivers are ready to go racing once again. And remember, the race 2 grid shall be set based on results of race number 1, so where our drivers finish, that's exactly where they start. And I suspect we're going to see a huge battle once again into turn number 1 in the fight for P3, with Dory looking to hold on versus Lee Horn. But could we see some surprise at the front of the field, with Biddulph having a good start in race number 1, but the pressure being put on early by Andrea Alberti, who will start P18. But could Andrea Romy this time be the one to put the Hyundai driver under pressure in the BMW and get a good enough launch in order to take the lead in the early stages? All that and more is about to come, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, if you haven't got yourself your liquid beverage, or you haven't taken that quick toilet break, you've probably got the best part of 1.5 to 2 minutes to do so now, because we're going to be going racing again very shortly. And when we do, it's going to be a thrilling 2nd race of the day. There's no question about it, as we look here to what is Fraser Austin. He makes his way on around. And we see Alessandro Pettinuzzo in the YouTube chat saying Guidici need a black and violet pedal for going fast. And, well, there, if it works, don't question it. But we advance our drivers then to the gridding procedure, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, now they'll all make their way into their grid slots. And when they do, they'll all be set and ready to go. And, well, who will be the winner? That's the big question that's going to be on the mind as they all get ready to put themselves into position on the grid. We've got a couple of drivers that still are waiting to take their grid slots, and including Lee Horn there, who's currently P4, and that's where he's going to be starting. Lloyd Biddulph takes the pole position on the grid, of course, your winner of race number 1, and he gets himself set and ready to go again for race number 2. But the grid is now practically set, ladies and gentlemen, and with the grid order being set, let's take you through how they'll line up for our 2nd race of the day. So it's Lloyd Biddulph who takes pole position once again in the Hyundai ahead of Andrea Alberti. Behind the BMW driver is Alan Axon in the Honda, and Andrea Romy starting at P4 there. And then we will have, albeit I believe this grid order may be incorrect in fact, and we might need to take another look at that grid order. We do apologise for that, and, well, as we do get that grid order, hopefully this time it will be correct. And, well, we do see Lloyd Biddulph there ahead of Andrea Romy, and there'll be Jamie Dory and Lee Horn on row number 2. Behind them on row number 3, it is going to be the pairing of what will be Isaac Doble and Adam Delmont in their close rivalry once again. And then we will be seeing Ian Deeney and Aaron Hampstead on row number 4 as they get underway. Now, round number 5, it will be Andrew Holmes and Mark Sykes who complete your top 10, ahead of Phil Garside and Joe Lane. And then from them, albeit I think some of these drivers are a little bit out of order right now. I think the grid may not have been set absolutely correctly, but Alessio Ganelli and Andrea Alberti will line up on the 7th row of the grid, with Fintag and Stefano Guidici on row number 8. Then we are going to have in what will be our final 4 places on the grid, Marco Guaranti ahead of Fraser Austin and Jonathan Collins and Alan Axon, with Dario Raffaetta starting in what will be P21 in the last spot on the grid. And, well, you can see him there, he'll be lined up in the Hyundai. But with the grid mostly set now, ladies and gentlemen, that's how they're going to line up for this race. And, well, we're about to get underway once more for another 20 minutes of racing here at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. And well, all the drivers just taking their final slots on the grid, and when they do, well, it's going to be the lights out procedure, and can Lloyd Biddulph make it 2 out of 2? That's going to be the big question, and is he going to be able to answer it successfully? Well, we're about to find out. It's lights out and away we go for our second race of the day as Lloyd Biddulph gets a good start off the line as he roars his way up towards turn at number 1. Well, meanwhile behind Andrea Romy doesn't quite get the launch he would like with Lee Horn right there. Meanwhile Jamie Dory's had to be retired to the pits immediately. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Jamie Dory's car, but he's not there anymore. And meanwhile as the field all congregates its way out towards the braking zone, 3 wide there under braking. You can see looking up the inside of what was Ian Deeney was Andrew Holmes. Holmes not able to find his way on through, but Deeney goes deep, and as a result Holmes now going to have another opportunity as Holmes goes around the outside. Contact between 3 drivers and off into the grass goes Phil Garside, and Garside's day goes from good to bad to worse race number 2. Oh, goodness me! And Deeney comes back on through, and there's contact with one of the Hondas, and I do believe that might be the Honda of Guidici who brings it back together. But it's been a disastrous start for many drivers, as meanwhile Jamie Dory started from the, I believe, it started from the pit lane, or was trying to get out the pit lane, but that might have been Jonathan Collins who we saw go through the picture. But after 1 lap of racing, it's Lloyd Biddulph who continues to lead ahead of Andrea Romy with Lee Horn P3, Isaac Noble P4 ahead of Adam Delmont, followed by Andrew Holmes, and it's Mark Sykes, Andrea Alberti, Joe Lane and Alan Axon who complete your top 10. And here is Finn Targ right now in the Ford Focus and trying to go on the offensive versus Alan Axon as they make their way up the hill and into the braking zone. And well, Targ right now all over the back of his rival as they make their way, as meanwhile that is Lane going very deep as they make the way out of Druid's corner, and Lane gets it back together just about, but I wouldn't be surprised there if he's definitely going to have his heart in his mouth for a brief moment, for the simple reason that mistakes like that, when they happen, it costs a lot of speed, and there's contact between Lane and what is there, Alan Axon. I think Axon would argue, well, there's nowhere else I could go, and Lane's chopped off my nose, and I don't think Lane's going to know quite what hit him other than the barrier there. I think that's definitely going to be a frustrating second race today for Joe Lane as they make the way on towards turn number 1, but as they roar their way on towards the next braking zone in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Meanwhile, Stefano Guidici a bit further behind, trying to chase down Fraser Austin and Dario Raffaetta. He's running in a P14. It is Guidici as meanwhile Raffaetta under a bit of pressure from Austin, so they made the way up the hill. Both drivers having a reasonable start making places, but the biggest gainer of them all since the start of this race, and starting from all the way down the back end of the order, is Andrea Alberti here, as we do see the BMW driver in the number 4 already up to P8 and continue to charge his way on towards what will be turn number 4 here, going into McLaren's corner. And as he does so, we say hello in the YouTube chat to Jaroslav Sabula, who says hello everyone, good evening to you, Jaroslav, as Alberti goes up the inside there of what is Mark Sykes. I think Sykes trying to go for the cutback here and trying to get the hybrid down to close up, but Alberti absolutely storming as they make their way on towards turn number 1. You can see Sykes there close, but not close enough to try and force a move on the BMW driver, and Alberti right now, I think, feeling very confident that things are more and more coming his way with every lap turn. And we've still got a way to go, but he's now only 7 seconds away, and we're 6 places away from challenging Biddulph for the win of this race. As they make their way on through the Druid chicane, not the Druid chicane, my apologies, going on through the Druid hairpin once again and in towards Graham Hill Bend. Well, meanwhile, speaking of your race leader, here he is as our cameraman tries to catch him, such as the speed he's moving with, but Biddulph there does have the company of Andrea Romy, only 1.2 seconds behind as they make their way on to the next lap, with Lee Horn then following a further what is 1 second off, and as they make their way on the start finish straight in towards Paddock Hill Bend. And going in towards the right-hander, well, I have been informed by Jamie Dory in the YouTube chat that his car caught fire on the formation lap, and therefore he's going to have to charge through the field in race number 3. An unfortunate start to his day, no doubt about it, and it's going to be from P21. That's guaranteed. Remember, we will be having a reverse grid draw after this race, ladies and gentlemen. It could be anywhere between P6 and P12 from our lottery bowl, so that's going to open up this race, no doubt about it. But meanwhile, speaking of opening up this race right now, Finn Targ in the Ford Focus, looking to hold off what is there, Marco Guariente, as they make their way in towards Graham Hill Bend. And as they do, we jump on board here with the Honda Civic driver as he powers his way close behind the Ford Focus, the Sutton machine, as they head in towards the left into right here at McLaren's. And as he does, well, can he find a way? And there's a bit of a mistake there from Targ, goes a bit deep, lock up on the front brakes, and Guarante is going to look up the inside of it. It's a very narrow exit line he's going to be on. That's going to cost him some speed as they power their way up towards Paddock Hill Bend, and in the tow they go as they make their way up the rise and over the bumps. And Guarante is going to look in once again. There's a bit of space there, a bit of a tap on the rear potentially, but in the end I think coming a bit too hot on the bumps on the way into Paddock Hill Bend, just bouncing the front end of Guarantee's Honda around and causing him not to have the control he wanted to get done to Paddock Hill Bend as he goes very deep now and up the inside. There goes what is none other than Dario Raffaetta, who makes the move. Can Hyundai brilliant move there from rFactor2, no doubt about it, and was they make the way on around right now. Well, with that great move, it means a place lost by Guarante, and he's got plenty more to do now if he wants to try and redeem himself after that one. As we look back to the exterior pictures, and here we can see Fraser Austin's now starting to get close, and the Honda driver there running out of rhythm as they roar their way on through turn number 5. But as they head over the rise and on to what will be the next 15 minutes of race, with 5 minutes already complete, still plenty to come. We're coming in towards turn number 1. From them, we do look what is a little bit further up the order, and we look in fact back to your race leaders here, and you can see Andrea Romy has now closed up to a bit of as they make the way through Graham Hill Bend, and we're in a very similar situation compared to race 1, where it's Hyundai leading against the BMW, albeit it was the BMW of none other than Alberti last time, who has made his way past Lee Holmes quite recently, albeit that's happened off camera, it should be pointed out. But the point being here that Biddulph right now, I think, will be focusing more and more on what's in his rear view mirror, and 9, the inevitable is coming, and he's got to put up the defense here if he wants to take home this win, as that BMW looking increasingly strong as they charge their way in towards turn number 1. Onto the race they go, and as they do, with its absolutely smooth as butter, the driving from both drivers. Alberti puts in the new fastest lap of the race from what is P6 at 47.310. So Andrea Alberti is charging after these two, and if they fight one another, it's only going to cost them the time and indeed bring them back into the clutches of their rivals. Lee Horn will be the closest rival, but I think Alberti is going to be the one to watch as we go closer and closer towards the midpoint of this race. But right now, as Biddulph takes the pressure from Romy behind, well, we are right on board here with the Challenger as they make their way over the rise and in towards what we turn at number 5. You can see on the graph in the bottom right corner of your screen, Romy getting a much better exit out of the corner. The power being built up here. Already within 2 attempts, they made their way past the marshal's post, and as they head up toward the timing line, well, Biddulph's going to defend here. Opens the door up. Romy's thinking about it. Does he go for it? No, he doesn't. Instead, he waits behind there, respecting the fact it's not really the place to go for the move. Instead, the right place to go is here up towards Druids. He's going to have a really good chance of this. Not quite going in for it in the end, as Alberti sets another fastest lap with 47.303. Fastest laps are plenty for the 6th place BMW driver, and well, as the leaders fight here, meanwhile, Andrea Alberti, we look to on the what is the exterior cameras, and you can see it's just got ahead of Adam Delmont, and that has happened into what was Druid's corner, as Adam Delmont right now falling in behind, and we see the aftermath of the move. We can't quite get you a replay of that due to some technical limitations, but we can tell that Andrea Alberti is now chasing after what will be Isaac Doble, who is his next target to try and take on. But meanwhile, looking back to the two leaders here as they make the way on towards another lap, and will Romy even closer this time, a 10th if that, and I think trying to get Biddulph to make an error here first and foremost before he goes for the move. I don't think he wants to try and force the move initially, worried about the fact that Lee Horn could quite close up, but you can see there in the fact that Biddulph right now just holding his lines, and I think waiting to see when the first move is going to come from the charging BMW driver as they make the way in towards turn number 3. And right now it is the ultimate game of cat and mouse between them as they make the way out of Graham Hill Bend, where Lee Horn's still 2.3 seconds behind in the rear of the picture in the Vauxhall Astra, and not quite able to get into the fight. But from them we look back to Isaac Doble, and well, Doble here now does have the pressure of Andrea Alberti just behind, and Alberti very close to me, or Romy has fallen a bit further away from Biddulph. Oh goodness, there's contact there between what is Isaac Doble and Andrea Alberti as they make the way on through turn number 5, and well there, I think there's contact, and then there's a little bit of nudge. It will be in the mind of Isaac Doble, and Andrea Alberti takes P4. Albeit right now I think Isaac Doble looking to come back as soon as possible as they make the way on through Paddock Hill Bend. I think the BMW driver may have got this done for now, albeit a bit unconventionally it would seem, albeit here comes Isaac Doble looking for the move. He's not going to let Alberti just run away with this, and in fact Alberti makes a bit of an error, goes deep into Druids, and as they make the way down the hill and in towards turn number 3, where in the end Alberti just simply parking the car on the apex of Graham Hill Bend. And Isaac Doble right now, the youngster definitely showing his maturity behind the wheel as they make the way in towards the left hand and going all the way through the left into right here, and that's where they stay at 4. Now Alberti does get the move done in the end, but from then we do look back to your race leaders here, and still nose to tail they charge as they make their way across the line this time around. Absolutely incredible racing between them as they head in towards the right hander, and it does look as though Biddulph now might be starting to open up a bit of a gap here. Perhaps Romy just used up a bit too much battery at this time, perhaps saving his battery, and Biddulph now deciding to try and pull away a little bit further as they make their way through turn number 2, and here towards 3 they go as they make their way down the hill. Again, it's all about fractional amounts of time being gained or lost between the two drivers. drives. 3 tenths is the gap back to them now as they make the way on down the back stretch and up towards turn number 4 into McLaren's corner. Lee Horn still what is 2.2 seconds back. He has closed a little bit, but nowhere near enough to get himself into this fight. And as they make the way on, Romy right now so close he could reach out and touch the rear wing of his rival. But as they make the way on towards Paddock Hill Bend, the gap staying at 2 tenths here. Bidoff starts to pull away, but meanwhile it's not just about them. We've got other drivers in the field, including Marco Guarente, as we do have a huge battle starting to build for what is none other than P10 here. Dario rFactor leading this pack of 5 cars. It's rFactor ahead of Targ, followed by Guarente, Rostons and Guiducci as they head on towards another lap. They reach the halfway point of this race, and well, that is Finn Targ looking for a move versus rFactor as they come on down the hill. It's a very fast run here from the Ford driver, but is he going to have enough to look for the move? He thinks about it, and indeed right now many of you will be getting flashbacks to Ford versus Hyundai in real life in 2023, and we're seeing it here in 2024 as they make the way down in towards turn number 3. And well, there Finn Targ just tucking in behind for now, and rFactor keeping it nice and cool, absolutely locked in here as they make the way through turn number 4. And right now the Ash Sutton mobile in the capable hands of Targ is having to think, what can I do in order to get under the skin of my Hyundai rival? Well, he's got to try and throw something else there right now, because Dario rFactor may not have the pace of his rivals, but he's got the consistency, and that is what's keeping him clear as they make the way on to the next charge in towards Paddock Hill Bend. And as they do, well, from them we do look a little bit further back up the road to Lee Holmes, who running in what is, excuse me, I do believe, in fact we don't have Lee Holmes out there, we do have Andrew Holmes out there, and he's looking up the inside of what is turn at number 2. And right now that's going to be Mark Sykes who's looking for the move here versus Holmes as they come through and getting the better run off of Graham Hill Bend there, but is he getting a bit too close to the rear of his Hyundai rival? And that's going to also bring into the mix Alan Axon in the Honda, who's a little bit further back, and well, Axon showed his defensive credentials and his prowess in race number 1, but now he's got to show he's not just about the defense, he's also about a good offense. And as they make the way on through turn at number 5, well, Axon close there in the Honda as they power their way on towards what will be the Paddock Hill Bend. But the problem right now for Alan Axon is the fact that for everything he gains versus Mark Sykes, Sykes is also gaining in the toe of Andrew Holmes, so therefore it's nip and tuck. As meanwhile, just off pitch at the front of the road, Doble and Delmont are going side by side into what is Drurid's Bend. And in fact we take a look at their battle as we do look to trackside. They're too wide as they make the way on down in for the left-hander here of Graham Hill, and as they do, Adam Delmont all over the back of the Vauxhall driver right now as they come in towards the left-hander. And as they do, it's going to be side by side all the way through, but Isaac Doble's not giving up. He holds the inside into turn number 5, hard on the brakes as the Vauxhall driver go. Delmont meanwhile trying to hold it around the outside in the battle for 5th place, and as they roll on through, Isaac Doble holds on for now, but as they make the way onto the start finish straight, meanwhile Lee Horn is under pressure, and so is Andrea Romy, who's made a mistake somewhere on circuit because he's dropped all the way back into this fight, and it's suddenly a three-way fight for P2. Romy goes wide, Lee Horn in the middle of the road, meanwhile on the inside goes Alberti. Horn gives him the space there, and Alberti runs them almost both off the road there, and more in the end, Andrea Alberti gains 2 places at the price of 2 corners, and goodness me, it's absolutely nip and tuck. And now Andrea Alberti knowing that there's only 3 seconds between himself and Lloyd Biddulph, who you can see up the road. Can the BMW driver find a way to take the fight back for the win of this race and make amends after race number 1? Well, as they make the way on through turn number 5, I think his confidence will be grinding the BMW as we say hello to Andrew Pike in the YouTube chat. And as they make the way onto the start finish straight, still 7 minutes to go plus the final lap of this race, and Andrea Alberti right now is the force to be reckoned with in this field as they head on down towards the right hander of turn 1. But as they do, we also say hello in the YouTube chat to John Higgins there, who's commented on Jamie not being in the field for this one, saying stop sandbagging at Jamie. And as we do see Andrea Alberti making the way through at Druid's Corner, down the hill they go and roaring on through. Well, going into that braking zone. In fact, it's John Higgins Jr. in the YouTube chat, and I hope you're doing well, John Higgins Jr., as our drivers push on here, and indeed as they make the way in towards turn at number 4. Meanwhile, we do look back to Isaac Doble versus Adam Delmont, and these two still nose to tail as they make their way through the left into right. And well, the key point being here is now that Adam Delmont has thrown a lot at Isaac Doble. He's not been able to put it off successfully, and as they make the way on through the right hander of turn number 5, well, I do think at this moment Adam Delmont might be sizing up his options and thinking, how do I get under the skin of the Vauxhall driver, who is proving to be absolutely resolute in the defense? Well, he's the only one who can figure that out, but I think right now Delmont's just got to try and come at Isaac at a very rapid rate. So we see a rejoining car there. I believe that's the car of Lane that's a lap down that has just rejoined from the gravel trap, and Delmont close, but again, not really able to find a way in this time. But I think his focus now will be on just trying to tee up a mistake out of Isaac, albeit very hard to make happen, it must be said. But meanwhile, from them, we do need to look back to here what is Marco Guarente, who's just been passed by Stefano Guidici into Druid's Corner. But from them, it's going all absolute bedlam here as they make the way in towards turns 4 and 5, and that is Alan Axon, who's just trying to hold off Dario Raffaito, whilst also looking for a move of Mark Sykes. And as they make the way on for the right-hander and up towards what will be at turn at number 1, roaring the way on the start-finish straight. Well, right now, you can see they're going defensive. It is Nolan Sykes, but Axon switches to the inside. It's a nice dummy, and as they make the way to the braking zone, well, Sykes able to outbrake the Honda there, and Mil come behind. Here comes Raffaello, here comes as well Targ, but Targ runs wide, and as a result, Axon has to go defensive here versus Raffaello. Targ looks up the inside versus Raffaello. He can't quite find it at the moment. Raffaello goes deep, and that's going to buy Axon time as they make the way down towards Graham Hill Bend, and onto the brakes they go, and Targ right now absolutely on the offensive here, trying to get back into the top 10, trying to get a couple more places to be closer towards the potential reverse grid positions. Remember, it's P6 through to P12, but the higher you finish, the more likely you're going to be in that reverse grid on law of averages. And as they make the way on through turn at number 5 right now, all these drivers absolutely giving it everything. But let's keep in mind as well, we've got our race leaders coming back together very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. And well, from that, Axon right now looking around the outside here versus Mark Sykes. He's going to be side by side in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Can he get it done? Sykes going defensive there, giving the space to Axon in turn, no rub in between them, but Axon in the end has to back out. But as they roar their way up towards Druid's Corner, on the inside it goes. Will be Raffaello. Axon gives it the space. It's a nice move from Raffaello to take P9, and Axon's going to be out of sorts as they come down the hill. Fintarg looking around the outside, can't quite find it, and as a result backs off. But meanwhile, whilst this is happening, Andrea Romy making the moves. Meanwhile, Lloyd, oh my goodness, and well, it's happened again, and well, we've only just caught the tail end of it, and it is Lloyd Biddulph this time who's been turned to the tyre barrier with contact of Andrea Alberti. And well, with that in mind, well, we don't quite know the full story there, but Alberti and carrying on, and I think it might be an equivalent of a Plato versus Neil rivalry that we saw in the 90s Super Touring era starting to emerge between them. As meanwhile, this is going to be a Biddulph here, just trying now to keep the car together and bring it on home, potentially in P4 with no rear wing. However, that's going to be a lot of missing rear downforce, and goodness me, we can't quite get your replay, unfortunately, of what happened there, ladies and gentlemen, but we can see the after effects, and that is that right now, Lloyd Biddulph down to P5, battling with Isaac. Doble's just got ahead as they made the way side by side on throw. And next up will be Adam Delmont, who would like to take the place of a Biddulph as they make the way on through turn number 5. But as they do, and onwards they go, well, it is Andrea Alberti who leads the race now. And I think with 3 minutes to go will be your race leader to the end. But Biddulph not coming into the pits, carrying on here. So the car's in the fit state to continue. At least he feels that way, as meanwhile, Dole's going to have to go defensive here. And Biddulph throwing everything at this, but definitely will be feeling a much looser rear end on the car. It's not stopping him from absolutely attacking as they make the way in towards turn number 2. And as they do, well, Biddulph right now absolutely feral in his approach to Druid's Bend, I can tell you that, as they make the way down in towards Graham Hill. And as they do, well, Adam Delmont right behind, still waiting as they roll on through. And the question there in the Twitch chat from Miss Kitty Louise at 90, which is, forgot this kicked off tonight. No problems, Miss Kitty Louise. Is it just the 2 races each race night? No, you're in for a treat. It's 3 races, much like the British Touring Car Championship rules and regulations, as we do see Biddulph go very deep there through turn number 5, and Delmont's going to be on the inside here on the left of your picture. It's the battle of the 2 Hyundais, the 2 teammates who you will, as they make the way up towards turn number 1, and in the end Delmont backs off. 9, Biddulph there's got the pace, and also he doesn't want to lose any place as he drifts his way into Paddock Hill Bend. But as they do, well, of course, every slide like that's going to cost him tyre life. But from them, we do need to look a little bit further back down the order, and in particular back to Dario Raffaello right now ahead of Alan Axon after that brilliant pass into Druid's Corner. Only 3 laps to go, and whilst they make the way on through, they still have Mark Sykes in P8 in front, and Will Sykes done a great job to keep these 3 drivers behind him. But indeed, all 4 of them showing just exactly what the quartet can bring to the table here, as they all run slightly wide coming out of Graham Hill Bend. They're pushing those track limits to the absolute maximum. There's no doubt about it. And well, they haven't been given penalties yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if the track limit warnings are starting to accrue for some drivers as they make their way through turn 5 and onwards towards the next lap. But as they do, we look back to your race leader here of Andrea Alberti. And as he makes his way in towards turn at number 2, we're definitely in a bit of a wounded BMW after that contact between himself and Bidov coming out of turn number 5, which saw Bidov catapulted to the barrier, and we're running in P6 at the moment. In fact, Lloyd Bidov, I think, falling down the order very quickly. In fact, he's just gone wide, coming out of what was, I do believe, Paddock Hill Bend, and will, as a result, now down to P11 is Bidov as he brings it back together, and we'll an error there coming on through Paddock Hill Bend. At least that's what we believe it was, and we're now down to 11 from P5 and still trying to hold on us up the inside. There goes what is Marco Guarante, and I do think that for Bidov it really is now batting against the current, and as they roll their way on through in towards turn 4 and 5, more from these drivers, we do look a little bit further back up the order to Mark Sykes here as he still tries to hold on to now what is effectively P6 in an absolute thrilling battle, with the fact we have had a couple other drivers fall a bit further down the order, but Sykes right now trying to hold on to the position here as they come in towards turn number 1, and well, he has got 5 drivers behind him all queuing up for that position as they make their way on towards Druids Bend for what is likely going to be the final time in this race, because as he makes his way into Druids, meanwhile here is your race leader, ladies and gentlemen. He's only what is 4 seconds away from the checker flag, and as he makes his way out the final corner, well, at least on circuit, after the altercation between himself and his rival, he's going to come through to take the win, and it's Andrea Alberti who takes the win in race number 2 ahead of Lee Horn, who will come on through a further 5 seconds behind P2 there to make it a podium, his first of the season. And then Andrea Romy, starting all the way down the order, takes P3 on the podium ahead of Isaac Doble, with Adam Delwant P5, and then it will be Mark Sykes who holds on the end to P6 and therefore is eligible, guaranteed to be on that reverse grid ahead of Dario rFactor and Alan Axton to line, with Axton just falling short. Andrew Holmes P9, Fintag P10, Marco Granti at P11, and then it will be Lloyd Bidolph in the end finishes P12 ahead of Stefano Guidici, and then we will have Joe Lane and Alessio Ganelli who will be your last finishers on the lead lap. 21 starters, 15 finishers on the lead lap. We've got a car on fire there, I do believe, not quite sure who that is, but definitely smoking hot, and I think that is the Honda of Marco Guarante. But as all the drivers park up, well, what a race we've had, ladies and gentlemen, no doubt about it. And as all the drivers make the way to the pit lane, the car ends up at its roof there. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but let's take you through those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries. And here they are from race number 2. After 25 laps of intense racing, Andrea Alberti, your winner in the second race of the day, ahead of Lee Horn, the Vauxhall driver, and in another BMW driver. It's a BMW 1-3 with Andrea Romy taking the final spot on the podium. Isaac Doble P4 there in the Vauxhall, just missing out on the podium, but keeping Adam Delwant behind, who completed your top 5, and then Mark Sykes P6 in the Vauxhall. He'll be your first driver in the eligible reverse grid positions, but he's guaranteed to be on it, given the fact the lowest number that can be drawn is P6. Dario rFactor close behind at P7 ahead of Alan Axon, with Andrew Holmes and Fintag completing your top 10. We then come on to the 11th through to 20th positions, and Marco Guarante P11 ahead of Lloyd Bidolph, who after an unfortunate incident in the trying to hold on, but a further instant pushed him down to P12. But you never know, if the 12 is drawn, he'll be on pole for the final race of the day, and he'll be praying for that, no doubt about it, with Stefano Guidici at P13 ahead of Joe Lane, and then Alessio Ganelli completing your 15 finishers on the lead lap. Aaron Hampstead at P16, a non-finisher, as was Fraser Rostance, with Jonathan Collins, Phil Garside and Ian Deeney completing your top 20. And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, with the engine going on the car before he could get it to the starting line, well, Jamie Dory there, P21, with it all to do in the final race of the day. Well, that was race number 2, and what a thriller we have definitely had here, ladies and gentlemen, and we've still got one more race to come. But of course, before we take a breather and get ready for that race, we just have the one big question of the reverse grid draw. So welcome to you, and welcome to the commentary booth. I hope you've been enjoying the racing as much as we have here. And for the uninitiated, here is the Next Gen Racing Lottery Bolt. Many of you will be acquainted with it with regards to the NXTCC. And in here, we have the numbers 6 through to 12. And very shortly, I'm going to close my eyes and draw a ball from the bowl, and that will be the reverse grid position for our final race of the day. Without further ado, let's get to it. There's a quick shuffle, and now we draw our ball for today, and it is going to be the number 6, which does mean in the end it's going to be our smallest potential reverse grid, and it is Mark Sykes who starts on pole for what will be our final race of the day. Well, many will be disappointed it wasn't a huge grid, but not Mark Sykes, I can tell you that, and we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, in approximately 5 to 10 minutes time for the build up to our final race of the day. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. We'll see you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back then for the final race of the day here in the United Kingdom at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Race 3 of 3 in round 1 of the NXTGEN Racing BTCC Mini League is due to get underway in just under 2 minutes time. And goodness me, we have had some absolutely ferocious and fantastic racing thus far. And as all of our drivers get set, another 20 minutes of racing awaits, albeit a top 6 reverse grid. And well, as we do see Lee Horn in the background making his way on around circuit currently and getting himself set. We're only moments away from going racing for the final time today. And of course, with a reverse grid race, there can only be one big consideration. And that is the fact that our drivers will have to snipe and cut their way through, particularly in the top 6 there, albeit of our smallest potential reverse grid. It does mean perhaps we're not going to see as too many nail-biting moments of drivers having to carve their way through the field in that top 6. But I can tell you, you've also got some drivers starting well down the order, such as the likes of Jamie Dory, who'll be starting from last place, and also what will be the driver, excuse me, of, I do believe, Lloyd Biddulph will be starting from P12, if not a bit higher, and he'll be looking to carve his way through as well. And therefore, we could definitely see some elbows out racing all the way to what will be our final checker flag of the day. Now, we are aware that the grid settings for race number 2 were not quite correct. Indeed, a couple of drivers have also raised that with us. And as we said earlier, because this is the first time we've ever conducted an rFactor2 series, we are going to have teething issues and we're going to learn from them. But even so, we've got to see some fantastic battles, and we may see some drivers out of order once again, so don't panic if you see some drivers not quite where they should be in the top 6 reverse grid. We'll learn from it, no worries about that, ladies and gentlemen, and do keep on the thoughts and feedback coming as we go on through the day, because it's with your help that will make this broadcast go from good to great to the best that we can possibly do out there. And indeed, that's what it's all about in NXTGEN Racing. We're all here as a community, whether it's our drivers on the circuit or indeed you guys and girls are tuning in at home. But this is the one driver right now who'll be tuned into the zone, and he'll be looking to go all in for what will be a charge through the field, could even go for the win. It'll be Jamie Dory. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the checker flag comes out in the final warm-up session, and now all the drivers will be required to make their way back into the pit lane before they make their way onto the grid for the formation lap, and then we do go green flag racing for the final time tonight. Makes his way on through. I believe we will get the call. There we are.
Non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So all of our drivers are required to make their way into positions. With Mark Sykes there starting on pole and Adam Delman just behind there, well, they'll gradually weave their way on, and we'll take you through that grid starting order very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. And that starting order is gradually being set here as all the drivers move into position on the grid, and the clock continues to tick down. They've only got 30 seconds before they do get underway with the formation lab, and well, do get set as we see Mikey Dowell there wishing brother Isaac the best luck and telling him to get his elbows out in the Facebook chat. And Mikey would love to see you on the grid as well, no question about it. Well, here they go, ladies and gentlemen, final formation lap, and this is how they'll line up for the final race of the day. 18 starters start off with Mark Sykes, who reverse grid at pole there, the top 6 reverse grid ahead of Adam Delman, with row number 2 going to Isaac Doble and Andrea Romy. Behind the BMW driver starting in P5 will be Lee Horn, and in last race winner Andrea Alberti at P6, the race 2 winner. Darren rFactor starts P7 ahead of Alan Axon, who starts P8. They keep your eyes out for the Honda driver, and then on row number 5 it's Andrew Holmes and Finn Targ, with Targ there failing to get himself into the reverse grid, but he'll be looking to battle with Andrew Holmes once again. Marco Grante and Lloyd Biddulph P11 and P12, and then on what will be row number 7, Stefano Guidici and Alessio Ganelli, and then on row number 8, Aaron Hampstead and Jonathan Collins, and then we will have on our final full row of the grid, out of our 18 drivers, it will be Ian Deeney and Jamie Dory. And keep your eyes on Jamie Dory in the Cupra, because he will be coming all the way from the back of the field. How far can he go from the back? Can he charge his way to the front? We'll have to see, because all that and plenty more is to come. But as Mark Sykes brings the field on through here to what will be at the start line one more time, where it's going to be the third standing start of the day, and all of the drivers will be looking to get the best possible launch they can, none more so than this man, as he parks up there right in his grid box, right to the maximum white line. He's eager to go racing. He wants to make sure that run to turn it up was the shortest possible, and as all the grid factors in behind, well, there you can see Jamie Dory and company, the last couple of drivers to make their way into their positions, and it will will be Dory who lines up there, and indeed he fits into his slot. We look back down to the front, and while the started procedure gets underway, and it'll be Mark Sykes who'll be the one waiting the most eagerly to see the green. Lights out and away we go for the final race of the day, as there's already a pit penalty for Ganelli, who's had a full start, but as they all make their way, roaring their way into turn one. Sykes under pressure from Delman, who looks around the outside into the right hand, they go Paddock Hill Bend, and as they do, meanwhile Isaac Doble goes to one. Is he going to go for both here as he looks up the inside in towards Druids Bend? Side by side they go, Doble on the inside, Sykes on the outside. He's going to commit to it. Is Isaac Doble, can he finish the move? He does. He gets into lead as Isaac Doble as they roar their way down the hill. Meanwhile Adam Delman there now losing another place as Lee Horn goes round the outside of the Hyundai driver, and as they make their way onto the back straight here, everyone line astern now as they roar their way in towards turn number 4. Third back, Jamie Dory going side by side there in the rear of your picture, already up to P15 as he looks onto the inside there of Stefano Guiducci and makes the P15 position his. As they make their way onto the brakes here, all the drivers roaring on through, elbows out there if you're Aaron Hempstead as they make their way through. Oh goodness me, going straight on. That's the car of Ian Deeney getting it very, very wrong unless I'm mistaken. But as they roll their way on towards turn at number 1 once again, Finn Targ on the outside here battling with Andrew Holmes. Holmes on the inside in the Hyundai, Targ around the outside here trying to go all in. There's going to be a bit of a rub between the two, but I think they both survive it just about, albeit Targ they have a little bit of wayward oversteer as they make their way off of the exit curb, and as they do, still on the inside there goes Holmes, and as they roll off the apex and down towards turn number 3, it's going to be another Lloyd at Biddulph who makes another place there, and Biddulph making places aplenty. He's already up to P10, but as they roar their way in towards the next braking zone, we look back towards the front of this field. And Andrea Romy side by side here versus what will be Alan Axon, as Axon now having to try and find a way on through. In fact, that's side by side between Romy and Delmont we should correct ourselves as they make their way through, and Axon's now a spectator. He's in the popcorn seat view, as we like to say, as he tries to look for an opportunity to get involved as they power their way on towards turn at number 1, and as they do, well right now it's going to still be Delmont defending against Romy as hard as possible, and Romy not able to find a way in. Oh, going to be in contact there between Axon and what will be Romy, a little bit on the rear bumper. Axon going defensive as Alberti looking around the outside, albeit off camera here as we continue to have the onboard perspective action, but as he rides are literally on the rear of his rival. We'll pound the way on down the hill right now, and Alberti still behind by 3 tenths, and Alberti having to be very careful with this race, of course. Slow start from Alberti afterwards race at number 2, but right now as they make their way in towards turn at number 4, there you can see still defending up front is Lee Horn ahead of Mark Sykes, who Isaac Noble trying to break away, and Axon losing the rear end. Now we didn't see there was any contact there from the rear of the car given the onboard, but Axon's race going sideways into the barrier coming into clearways, and that's not the way he's waiting to go whatsoever. As meanwhile we look back to your race leader as he makes his way onto a new lap, a new fastest lap for Isaac Noble, 48.019. I think that record might be shattered shortly for some drivers further down the order, but we've got Deeney in the pit lane having the car repaired after that huge shunt to the tyre barrier coming out of turn number 5, and right now Isaac Noble still pushing on here and holding on, as meanwhile Lloyd Biddulph up the inside of another driver, up the inside of Derry rFactor in towards turn at number 2, and as he gets the job done there, right now the Hyundai driver absolutely on a mission to go hunting after the win and make it 2 wins out of 3 today, but can he find a way to do so? He's got time, remember, given the fact we're only 3 minutes into this 20-minute race, and we've also got the final lap to consider, and at this rate or not, Biddulph is going to be there at some point. Oh my good lord, and that is a shunt and a half between rFactor and Andrew Holmes, and well, in the end, pointing the wrong way is Derry rFactor, and I think Andrew Holmes as well end up going the wrong way. Well, I believe that might have been Andrew Holmes coming in quite hot, in fact, but the two drivers are definitely experiencing a bit of difficulties. Meanwhile, Finn Targ making his way on through, he's up to P8 now as Holmes just behind, and as they make the way through, that's Aaron Hampstead who goes 3 wide here as they roll the way down the hill. Dory's taking 1, he's going to take 2. On the inside goes the Cooper driver, in the middle is Guarante, and Hampstead is on the outside as they make the way through Druids Bend, and now they all made it through that. And also, how on earth did Stefano Guiducci find his way past Hampstead as they make the way down to the braking zone? Well, there it looks like Guiducci has some technical issues with the car, because the car practically coming to a halt in the middle of the road, albeit they've been able to avoid the contact, and Jamie Dory still trying to charge his way through the field in now to the back of Andrew Holmes with a wounded car looking around the outside of what will be the BMW there of Deeney that's 3 laps down, and that's going with a blue flag waving in the air. As you can see, Dory trying to squeeze the inside, almost going into the pit lane as they make the way to the start finish straight. 3 wide they go once again here, albeit Deeney backing out. Dory still got his nose on the inside having a little bit of a love tap there versus Holmes not giving in his Dory as they make their way through. Holmes on the outside here, surely he's not going to have any grip left in the car. Indeed he doesn't. Dory up to P9. Holmes now under pressure here versus Wiz Granty as they go on to Druids, and as he does so right now the Aidan Moffat machine makes the moves count as they go on through, and Holmes down to P11. Can he come back into the braking zone here for Graham Hill Bend? He'll look for it as contact, however, and that turns Square anti-sideways as they make the way through, and meanwhile just behind Guidici and Hampstead queue up as they power the way up towards turn number 4, and as they do, well, neither driver wants to back out. This is absolutely thrilling racing. Albeit Guidici losing the rear of the car, defending as he rejoins with the grass. Holmes on the outside. How on earth they're surviving this, I do not know, but I can tell you one thing, neither driver wants to give in here right now. It's almost as if it's the end of the season, and as they're roaring their way on towards turn number 1, well, Holmes going onto the grass there for a brief moment, I think forgetting where the width of the road is. That shows you how much he wants to hold on to the position, as sideways goes Guidici. Well, it's going to go to the gravel, and as they all come on down, well, a couple of drivers wide. Meanwhile, Alan Axon now getting involved. Into the braking zone they go, and in the end Axon tucks in behind what will be Granty. I think they're going to calm down for a brief moment as they make the way on down the hill in towards Graham Hill Bend. But meanwhile from them we look back to Mark Sykes, who right now does have the charge in form of Andrea Alberti, the BMW driver on the mission to make a move. Sykes there turns in, but he finds the BMW a bit of a rub between the two of them, but nothing too dramatic there as Andrea Alberti makes another place now to P3. 3.5 seconds off of race leader Doble, and meanwhile 3 seconds off of Lee Horn in P2, and Horn is trying to put some fast laps in order to close the gap to Isaac Doble, as meanwhile Andrea Romy breaking away from Lloyd Biddulph and Adam Delman as the two of them take each other wide onto the gravel. The two Hyundais go on, following on through goes Finn Targ, as I think Targ they're a bit too enthusiastic to take 2 places. Good look for it, however, and meanwhile in the confusion it does mean that Biddulph right now trying to go around at what would be the outside to make the move count as they make the way down, but Adam Delman gets the move back, moves into P6 as they go through Graham Hill Bend, and Jamie Dory right onto the back of this battle now as we ride on board with the P9 driver, and here he comes as he looks at the inside of Finn, targets the corners, contact between the two as they make the way through, but as he does, he's going to have to wait around the outside now, as meanwhile you can see that Targ, whilst he's not got the space versus Dory, he's not going to be just pushed over and made to move out of the way, and as they make the way onto the start finish straight, Dory right now will be absolutely fighting at the bit here, want to find a way through, looking to the outside, he's already gained with the best part 9 places, and started P18, he's got more to gain, however, as Targ meanwhile defends on the inside, goes a little bit deep, Dory cuts it back here, knowing he can try and get the better run at the hill. Targ tries to squeeze into the apex, but Dory goes all in as he dives to the inside. It's a brilliant move from Dory as they roll on through, a bit of a rub there near the back of Adam Delman, but in the end Delman able to pull away, and Dory gets the move made, and Finn Targ there, well, he gave the space, he raced it as hard and firm as he could, but Dory was not going to be stopped as they make the way in towards turn number 4, and as they come on through it, meanwhile a bit further back, Alan Axon right now continues to make some progress here. He's found his way past Andrew Harms, who's fallen down to P12, Americo Grante just behind, and meanwhile now Axon go charging after what will be none other than Stefano Guidici as they make the way for the right hand. A new fastest lap meanwhile in the hands of Wes Alberti, a 47.074. That is 6 tenths ripped out of the race leader. But meanwhile, as we look back to Andrew Holmes going side by side here versus Aaron Hampstead. Hampstead on the inside in the Ford Focus. I think this is going one way. It's going the way of the Napa Racing Ford as they make the way out to turn 1 and up the hill and towards turn number 2. As they charge their way into the braking zone here, will line astern they go, and Holmes are right now having to look for a way back into this fight as they come off a Druids Bend. But from them, meanwhile, we do look back to your race leader of Isaac Doble, and it is currently a Vauxhall Astra 1-2 here as they make the way on around, albeit Doble started to be reeled on in by Lee Horn, and the problem here for what is Lee Horn is the fact that he's getting close to Isaac, there's no doubt about it, but Andrea Alberti is taking the time out of both. He just took half a second out of Horn and another second out of Isaac Doble, and I wouldn't be surprised if some tyre life is now starting to come back to bite the two Vauxhall drivers on the front end. Meanwhile, Andrea Alberti absolutely attacking every lap right now, and with the lap time he's put in, he's going to be within attacking distance on the next lap at this rate, and that's going to be leading to a thrilling freeway fight for the win, no doubt about it, as they make the way on the backstretch. But as they come up towards the left-hand return at number 4, Andrea Romy also quite close behind and starting to gain from P4. So if we do see these three battle quite hard, you could see it become a four-way fight for the podium, if not a four-way fight for the win. But as they come on to the next lap, meanwhile we look back to Adam Delman, who's now starting to give himself some breathing room versus Targ. Indeed, we get some breathing room after their brilliant battling earlier on, and Jamie Dory is now pulling away in the Cupra. That does look to be the odd one out in this pack of cars. They make the way on towards another lap of racing here, almost at the halfway point. We've still got 11 minutes to go, however, plus that final lap. It's not over yet until the checkered flag is struck, and as they roll them down the hill from them, meanwhile we look back to your race leader leader again. And well, the top three here, and we also say hello to Fernlock12 in the Twitch chat. I hope you're doing well, Fernlock, and enjoying the racing. As the drivers make their way down the back stretch, Isaac Doble right now, still holding on, but here comes Horn, still looking for the move, and Andrea Alberti now closing. It does seem as though there's two things that are inevitable in the final race today. One, it's going to be a thriller, and two, Andrea Alberti is going to be there in the end. But as they make their way on the start finish straight, it's a poor run out of turn number 5 from Doble. Horn's going to be all over the back of him here, looking for a move to the inside. You can see Horn trying to squint, trying to squeeze his way on in, but Isaac Doble knows it's coming, just simply defends, puts the car right in the dead centre of the road. And as they make their way on through the right-hander and up towards turn number 2, well, they make their way into the braking zone here, and Alberti are right now trying to look around the outside. Horn having to go defensive. This is going to buy Doble time, but Alberti's got the grip on the outside, or has he? No, he hasn't. And as he tries to go the long way round, he's made to wait for a time as we ride on board here with the number 4 driver as he comes up through the left-hander. And as they power their way up towards what we turn number 4, Alberti looking for the move here. It hasn't worked out previously, and he knows that from race number 1. He's not going to try it again as they make their way in to McLaren's, and in towards 5 they go, and through clearways and over the rise. Horn goes a little bit deep. That's going to give Alberti all the room he needs and more to try and make this move happen as they power their way. Horn, they're trying to squeeze the door shut, but Alberti says no. And as they make their way in a drag race up towards turn number 1, well, Horn's going to be on the outside, Alberti on the inside. Well, Horn's going to try and hold it all the way through, but Alberti here looks to be in the comfort zone as he moves into P2, rolling off the apex. And as they make their way up the hill towards the braking zone here, now Alberti is only one place away from making it back-to-back wins here today, as Isaac Doble will be the man to try and stop him. But as they make their way down towards turn number 3, a question there in the chat from Fernlock12 in the Twitch chat, which is, do the racers choose their cars? They do indeed, out of all the cars available in the 2021 through the 2023 BTCC calendars. And you'll see most of the drivers run the 2023 machines here with the hybrid systems. But as they make their way in towards turn number 5, Isaac Doble right now having to defend on the inside there. Alberti trying to set him up for a move, trying to get a better run off of the corner as they make their way into the start for this straight. 9 minutes still left on the clock as they run through. Doble goes defensive to the inside, close to the pit wall. Alberti pins him as they make their way in towards Paddock Hill Bend, thinking about trying to cut back, or at least trying to throw a dummy as they make their way on down. But Doble's not falling for it either way as they power their way up the hill. Close again. Alberti looks to the outside in towards Druids, but Doble's going to defend as they make their way onto the brakes. But he's looking all the way around the outside here. Can he get it on the inside into Graham Hill Bend? Well, Doble's going to run him wide, just out of room there. And well, that was right on the limit. And as you can see, a brief tap to the rear of Isaac Doble's car. And Alberti there, not too pleased with being run out of road, but it's all fair. And as they make their way in towards turn number 4, right now, side by side, they go into the corner. Isaac Doble defends to the outside inside. Lee Horn looks on in, but Alberti outbrakes in there in towards turn number 5. And the Vauxhall drivers trying to work together here to beat the BMW as they make their way through the right-hander. Nose to tail they go. Gravel being kicked up there, and I believe that is the car of Jonathan Collins that's deciding to stay off the racing line to avoid getting into this fight. Meanwhile, Andrea Romy now is only a second off of this lead battle. You can see him in the rear of the picture. It's going to be a 4-way fight for the win, and it's going to be 2 Vauxhalls versus 2 BMWs. 2 by 2 they come. It's like Noah's Ark, but the difference is there are a bunch of animals here fighting for the win as they go to the brakes. Alberti goes very deep over the corner. Here comes Lee Horn as Isaac Doble was made to follow through, but he can't quite do it. And in the end, Andrea Alberti makes the lead with an absolutely long-distance lunge. And well, he had to go for it there and then, given the threat of Andrea Romy coming up behind, and now it's the 2 BMWs being the ones to sandwich the 2 Vauxhalls in the middle as they make the way through turns 4 into 5. Onto the brakes they go here, and right now Andrea Alberti, despite the controversy from what was a races 1 and 2, you can't deny in this race, definitely right now redeeming what has been a challenging day today, and the BMW driver pushing on. And as they make the way in towards turn number 1, well, right now making the way towards the braking zone, and Lee Horn now trying to look for an opportunity to take P2 back, and I wouldn't be surprised if Isaac Doble's car is definitely feeling somewhere on those front tyres. Andrea Romy now looking for the moves. They roar the way up the hill, looking around the outside they go, and as they do, eager to try and make this move count, switching it back there off of Druids Bend versus Horn. Horn defends the inside of Graham Hill, and as they come down into the braking zone, into left-hander, no way through for Romy at the moment, or is there? He'll try and put the power down, he'll try and get the hybrid to work from here onto the inside of 4, but Horn doing the same as well as they come through left into right, and that's exactly how they stay for now as they make their way on through turn number 5. But as they come on around there, we do have some battling further down the order. Let's not forget Andrew Holmes still battling here with Aaron Hampstead as they fight over P12 here. They may be outside the top 10, but by no means are they out of the fight and don't deserve a spotlight on them just as much as Holmes there, defending well coming through McLaren. And you can see just behind them also, where is it, Marco Grenti in the Honda as they make their way up the rise and on towards turn number 1 they go once again. as they charge their way onto their next respective lap. Will they make the way in towards Paddock Hill Bend? And we carry on the question there from Fernlock 12, which is if all racers choose Hyundai, would it be a one-mate race? Yes, it would be. All our drivers were required to sign up to their cars prior to the seasons. We see there a mistake from Am Hensted, hitting too much apex curve going on through Paddock Hill Bend, brings it back together and onto the road, and that's going to release what will be a Guarenti up on the inside and takes P13 off of him. And now, as they make the way down, well, that is going to be Dini, who is 3 laps down on them, so he can't really get involved in this battle, albeit he can watch and potentially look at the prospect of unlapping himself as they make the way on through. But from them, meanwhile, we do look back here to the two-way fight for what is P3 between Romy and Horn. Romy on the inside here as they make into Paddock Hill Bend. I think Romy this time may have it, as Horn's going to try and come back as they roll on through up the hill towards Drury. You see Romy immediately go defense. He knows Horn's going to try and counter-attack there. Brilliant mind reading between both drivers as they make the way through Drury's Bend. Well, right now, Andrea Romy defending as much as he dares to do so, and Isaac Doble is being brought a lifeline here. I don't think the leading Vauxhall driver right now has got the tyre life left in this race, or the battery, in order to be able to hold on. I think he's relying on what is Horn fighting with Romy, but I think Romy may have finally got that done as there's a mistake from Isaac Doble, and that confirms our suspicions that the wheels are falling off the Vauxhall bus as they make the way through turn number 5. Romy around the outside. It's going to be a drag race now up to the line with 5 minutes left on the clock, and it becomes a BMW 1-2, and now it's the battle for the final spot of the podium between the two Vauxhalls. Doble on the inside, Horn on the outside as they make their way into Paddock Hill Bend. Nose alongside each other as they go on through the right-hander, but Isaac Doble holds on for now as they make the way up the rise and in towards turn number 2. Onto the brakes they go. No way through for Lee Horn at the moment. Isaac Doble is absolutely doing everything he can in order to be able to hold on here as they make the way down into left-hander, and as they make the way on through right now, going up towards turn number 3 and onto the charge and in towards the braking zone. And no change at the moment between these two drivers as they head through left into right. But from them, Lloyd Biddulph still trying to catch up in the Hyundai. Haven't started all the way down the order in P12, and then there could be an opportunity to do so, as I do believe Horn, in fact, making the move on Doble slightly off camera there at turn at number 5, and that will have been due to a slight mistake from Isaac Doble to go deep. But Biddulph still on a charge here and trying to match the pace of the leaders, but it's just not there for him right now as he continues on in P5 with what is Jamie Dory in P6 in the Cooper just behind. And then we do have what is the best part of Sykes and Delman completing your top 8. But as they come towards the closing stages of the race now, a small mistake from Mark Sykes as he goes wide out of Paddock Hill Bend, catches the car just in time. It's going to be Adam Delman who's going to be closing up behind him. Well, meanwhile, Fintag in P9 goes very deep there. It's going to release what is Alan Axon in towards P9 now as the Honda driver makes his way on through. Meanwhile, running a bit wide, I think it was Stefano Guidici as he tries to carry as much speed as possible in the pursuit of Fintag. I think a bit of enthusiasm there creeping in as they make the way up towards what will be turn number 4 into the left-hander and following the right-hander. Clearways here, but Fintag really struggling on tyre wear right now. I think all of our drivers here right on the ragged edge of adhesion as they make the way on around, and will the forward driver keeping his head down as they make the way up towards turn number 1. And well, not too many more times to go now, approximately another 5 laps of racing, including the one they've gone on to. But from these drivers, we do look back up to what is Sykes versus Delman, as Mike Sykes right now just holding on. But meanwhile, in fact, we've got multiple drivers going wide there. That's Fintag taking a bit of a rally across line, coming back onto the circuit. As he does, up the inside goes Stefano Guidici, and the Honda driver moves into P10 there. I think Fintag is throwing everything at this in the early stages, and there's nothing left to give in terms of what life the tyres got left in the car's got left in the tyres. But as they make the way on the back straight, we're right now looking for the move. No way through for Tag as we ride on board with the Ford driver, and a bit of a mistake there coming on through turn number 4, and a bit of dirty air off of the back of the Honda in front. That's not going to help in terms of getting the direction change set up from the left into right, going through at McLaren. And as they head on to the start for this straight, we're right now looking for the final top 10 spot here as they power their way in towards turn number 1. 4 tenths between the two drivers, nothing in it. But I think for Fintag, the thing right now is, has he got any life left in the car? He's got on the attack as he goes deep again. I think the answer is no, he hasn't. As much as he'd love to, he's just not got enough life left in those front tyres. They're gone, and as a result, the turn-in is not there if he wants to try and make this move happen. But meanwhile, we look back to Lee Horn, your P3 driver, further up the road here as he makes his way on through turn number 5, and right now only what is 1 second ahead of Isaac Doe, but he is the leading Vauxhall as they power their way up towards turn number 1, and as they do so, heading in towards the braking zone. Well, meanwhile, as they come through the right and in towards Druids Bend, they'll go very shortly. We'll roaring their way up the hill, and from them are 2 BMW drivers that are just pulling away right now. And well, as they come in towards the braking zone, not too long to go, and Stefano Guidici under some major pressure here from Finn Targus. Targus trying to come back versus the Honda driver in the very late stages. They one more lap after this one for these two, as Targus looks up the inside, can't quite find it, and Guidici trying to hold on for the final top 10 spot, with Alan Axon, the next Honda up the road, a second clear and feeling safe right now. But as they come in towards Graham Hill Bend, brilliant racing. It just goes to show you, we have drivers of similar skill levels on their different machines as well, just how close the racing is here at Brands Hatch Indy, and plenty more of that to come at Donington Park National in a week's time. There's no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. But as they make their way through turn 5, Tar goes very deep there, and as a result, I think now for the Ford driver, it's all going to be about just getting it to the end of the race. But meanwhile, as they make their way to the start finish straight, here is your race leader, Andrea Alberti, who right now is only 20 seconds and this lap away from taking his second checkered flag of today in terms of what will be 2 back-to-back wins after a dismal end to race number 1. But as he winds his way on through the corners, right now Alberti doing everything right, it would seem, and well, from coming on through what will be the final corner, the checker flag gets ready to wave for the BMW driver, and it's going to be 2 wins in a row today for Andrea Alberti as he takes the checker flag in the final race of today here at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. Andrea Romy comes on through for P2 in a BMW 1-2, and it'll be Lee Horn who takes the final spot of the overall podium in the Vauxhall Astra to make it 2 podiums back ahead of Isaac Doble. Lloyd Biddulph in the end finishes inside the top 5, P5 then a great recovery drive ahead of Jamie Dory P6, having started P18. Mark Sykes P7 ahead of Adam Delmont, and then we will very shortly have Alan Axon coming on through P9 ahead of Stefano Guidici. The 2 Hondas together there, P9, P10, Vintag P11, Marco Granti at P12, Andrew Holmes there, a car that's just coming to the line, P13 I believe, albeit something's broken on the Hyundai right at the end ahead of Aaron Hampstead, and those will be your lead lap finishers with 3 laps down what was, I do believe, Ian Deeney, who was your finisher there. And then we did have the retirees of Jonathan Collins, also there Alessio Ganelli and Dario Raffaetta. But as our drivers cool them down here, the 2 BMW drivers side by side there, 9, they've done their job today in what was a thrilling final race, no doubt about it. And as they make the way in to the pit lane, well, let's take a look through those race results, and what a race it was, no question about it. And here they are. So after 25 laps of racing in our final race of the day here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, Andrea Alberti taking the win there for BMW ahead of Andrea Romy. A 1-2 for BMW. Both drivers, they're fighting hard to be on the top steps of the podium. Ahead of Lee Horn, the Vauxhall driver, giving it everything to hold on, and in the end managing to hold on to the final spot of the podium. Isaac Doble, not quite able to finish the winner or on the podium, but still he'll be proud of his achievements today, and I think we'll learn from the battling today as well. P4, head of Lloyd Biddulph. P5, the Hyundai driver who started down in P12 and fought his way on through, as did Jamie Dory in the Cupra, taking P6 in the end ahead of Mark Sykes, with Adam Delman, Alan Axon and Stefano Guidici completing your top 10. We'll then see in P11, it was Finn Targ in the Ford there, who definitely enjoyed the race, enjoyed the battling, but in the end the front tyres just going on the Ford Focus ahead of Marco Granti in the Honda, and then Andrew Holmes in the Hyundai ahead of Aaron Hampstead to finish your lead lap finishers P14 in the Ford. Finishing 3 laps down, Ian Deeney in the BMW, and then we did have the 3 retirees non-finishers of Jonathan Collins in the Cupra, Alessio Ganelli in the Vauxhall, and last but not least, Dario Raffaetta in the Hyundai. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our final race of the day here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, and what a trio of races it has been, no doubt about it. And if that is going to be the standard of the racing all the way through this mini league season of 4 weeks, we are in for an absolute treat. But with the racing having concluded, we should point out that this broadcast is not quite over yet, because we still do have, of course, what will be the post-round interviews coming up with our volunteer drivers in approximately 5 to 10 minutes time. So we'll be back for those very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss them. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and apologies for the slight delay in getting interviews underway, but it's time for us to conduct our post-round interviews with our two volunteer drivers for today. And we're going to be starting off from hearing from Jamie Dory in the number 19 Cupra, who today had a mixture of results but enjoyed the battling all the way through. And then we're going to be hearing from Lee Horn, the man who took 2 podiums today in races 2 and 3. But without further ado, joining me in the interview room now is none other than series organiser Jamie Dory. Good evening to you, Jamie, and well, what a way to kick off the BTCC Mini League. I mean, fantastic racing from yourself in Bobby Thompson's Cupra, but at the same time as well, you must have a twinkle in your eye for having a series that we took a gamble on, and it's worked out as well quite nicely.
Yeah, it looked quite good, didn't it? Watching the stream, I mean, yeah, it looked. Looking at some of the people who joined and were watching it, there was some interesting people without dropping names. I think it's gone well.
Oh, without a doubt. And focusing on what's gone well for yourself today, of course, some absolutely brilliant racing from the outset. And well, we got to see you battling hard, starting with qualifying, a P5 in qualifying, which it looked as though qualifying was always going to be close, and in a Cupra that you're trying to get everything out of.
Yeah, I think I had a little more on the table in the quali. I just couldn't quite hook it up. I've always been a bit down in quali. I've never been a qualifier. I always look at quali. I'm going to be 2 or 3 spaces below where I think I should be. But a P5 isn't too bad with 21 cars. So top quarter of the grid, it's not too bad.
Oh, no doubt about it. And going into the race, starting from P5 and looking to battle your way onto the podium, had you already figured out where you're going to try and make the moves happen, given how challenging it is to overtake at Brands Hatch?
Yeah, kind of. It was looking. Thing is being such a new league and such a new game is trying to work out where cars were stronger, what wheelbases do what. The last corner the BM's drive out of there is you can't match it in a front wheel drive. It just points and goes. However, things like out of Druids and Graham Hill into Paddock, it was a lot more stable in the front wheel because you could get the back end dancing. So it was trying to work it all out and decide when, if, and where. Along with obviously in rFactor, you've got the hybrid deployment, so you get the 15 seconds. So it was looking when other people were deploying their hybrid and using yours to counteract that, or to stay with them and then line it up for a pass to deploy the hybrid at the right time.
I see, and having to be quite tactical with that hybrid as well, given the limited usage of it. And we saw you use it quite successfully to make moves that saw you finish on the podium in race number 1. I mean, a P3 for the first race of the season, and it's not as though you're batting against slouches either when you do have the likes of what was, I do believe, unless I'm mistaken, the charging drives of none other than Andrea Romy and also Lloyd Biddulph for company.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a few of these guys I've raced with before, and a few are new. But yeah, there's some fast boys out there in the cars. So I'm not too familiar with this game. I can hustle a car around, but I'm not in the element I would like to be at just yet.
Still got plenty of time to put practice in and get yourself into that element that you described. And speaking of being a bit out of your element, race number 2 saw the car retired before it even took a lap.
Yeah, so obviously we do a formation lap, get the heat in the tyres, get the heat in the brakes. I was obviously focusing on the further forward you are, the longer you're on the start grid, the cooler the tyres get. So I was trying to get the tyres a little bit hotter without putting too much wear on them. So I was going between first, second, occasionally dropping to neutral to spin the fronts again to get the traction off the line. On this game with I use flappy paddles. If you click both of them at the same time, it goes into neutral to then select the downshift for reverse. Going up the back straight after Graham Hill, I think I was in second, getting a bit of heat in, and I knocked it into neutral by accident and put it into first. And yeah, unfortunately, I blew my engine, and the fire marshals had to come and help.
Oh dear. Well, it definitely wasn't the way you wanted race number 2 to go, but still, a non-finishing race 2. Definitely set yourself up for a challenging race number 3, starting from P18 and charging through to P6 in the end. I mean, there was some damage and contact picked up at Druids on the opening lap, but after that, you were making moves left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I kind of had the bit between my teeth. Like I say, I knew I had a P3 to P5-ish paced car. I was frustrated with myself more than anything, and the red misset, and I was just trying to trying to see where I could finish. Some of the slower cars I found hard to get round because of it being Brands Hatch Indy, so I lost a bit of time there to try and progress even more. But I'll take a P6 and some points towards the season. But yeah, it's one of them. I'll take it. It's good battling.
Oh, indeed, great battling from yourself. And in a week's time, we make our way to Donington Park National. Are you expecting the circuit to perhaps favour the Cooper a little bit more?
I mean, it's quite hard to tell. The Cooper seems very good at tight corners where, as we know from Donington, they're quite fast corners. The only thing I can say I'm looking forward to is the last chicane. We'll wait and see. I think this might be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, that's absolutely fair. Keeping a tight lip ahead of round number 2 in a week's time. But just before, of course, I do let you go, Jamie, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, you know me, the usual. Everyone who races. For a bit of a rundown league, having 21 cars on the grid isn't too bad for a full week. Hopefully, going forward, would do something more permanent. That's the plan. Looking at the numbers, obviously everyone who raced, like I say, yourself, Paul, for doing all of the work behind the stream, getting it all up and running. I know rFactor can be a bit of pain at times. Professional as always, NXTGEN, and everyone who's tuned in. I don't know if he's still watching, but Stuart Lyons messaged me if you want to take part and or sponsor the league that we're going to do. I know he's been watching.
Well, indeed, there's been plenty watching Stuart and many others. It's great to see so many tuned in and great to see you so happy, Jamie. Brilliant racing today. And, well, congratulations on the podium in race number 1 and the recovery drive in race number 3. We look forward to plenty more from yourself next week at Donington Park. But until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Cheers, Paul. See you later.
So hearing there from Jamie during what has been a challenging day today, but still a great start to an all-new era in next-gen racing, and particularly being under no illusion that it was going to be a challenging day today, making sure everything ran, not just with regards to the series, but also in the Cupra. But the Cupra in the end delivering justice for Jamie Dory, particularly in qualifying in race number 1, an error in race number 2. But of course, it's always those trial by fire errors, and in recovering well in race number 3 to a P6 finish. Could it have been 2 podiums today? Could it perhaps even been 3 podiums in a row? We'll never quite know. But what we do know is that he's been tight-lipped about his chances at Donington Park in a week's time. And could we see Jamie Dory push even further, even if the circuit doesn't quite suit the Cupra? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we come on to our second interview of today, and we're going to be hearing very shortly from none other than Lee Horn, the man who in the Vauxhall today managed to make it a double podium over the course of the racing. And well, we're going to be hearing his thoughts very shortly indeed, as we get set and all ready to go to hear from him. As we do wait to hear from Lee Horn, you have to give us a brief moment as we get ourselves all set to speak to our interviewee. And well, I do believe he is just patiently waiting for us, and well, his patience will be rewarded as he now does join me in the interview room. As he joins me now, good evening to you, Lee. Great to have you with us, and what a way to start off your BTCC Mini League campaign. A P9 qualifying, and then P4 in race number 1, and double a podium after that, a P2 and a P3 to wrap up the day. I mean, you couldn't ask for better, surely.
No, it was a fantastic start to the Mini League. It's obviously new sim or new game, as whatever people like to call it. Yeah, I've really enjoyed myself this evening. A sort of done way better than I sort of expected to do. So and had a lot of fun in the meantime. So yeah, really good to be on and give an rFactor a bash on. For me, what's my favourite series? I've followed it since for 20, 30 years now in real life. So to be able to drive the cars like you see them on the telly or see them by the side of the track's really cool.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, that enjoyment definitely had been demonstrated from the outset today. And you decided to go with the Vauxhall Astra. I mean, many a driver going with the Vauxhall Astra, but you representing the colours of Aaron Taylor-Smith. I have to ask, what made you choose the Vauxhall?
Well, I tried 2 or 3 of them. I was going to stick with front wheel drive. That's always been my favourite. I've not been so good with the rear wheel drives in my time. I've always preferred driving front wheel drive cars. I tried the various other cars. I think the Hyundai, the 2 Hyundais actually. No, the Hyundai and the I'm thinking of iRacing there, and the Toyota. And I just sort of I've always liked the Vauxhall. I've got a Vauxhall in real life. So yeah, I just enjoy driving it. So I decided to stick with it for the mini league.
That's absolutely fair. And talking about making those choices, we saw you spend quite a lot of time out there in practice and going into qualifying. A P9 in the end in qualifying. I get the feeling perhaps not what you're expecting.
No, the times were tumbling actually as we went through practice and then into qualifying. They got even quicker. So to be fair, I don't feel particularly quick on sort of like the single lap basis or qualifying basis at the moment. But put my old race helmet on and get into some battlecraft it's real good fun, and I can sort of stay up the sharp end within reason. Those 2 or 3 really quick boys were showing their pace tonight, but I was sort of showing my own with the rest of them and enjoying having a good battle. So yeah, enjoyed that.
Oh, no doubt about it. And I mean, the batting started in race number 1 and it continued in race 2. And in the end, being rewarded with the runner-up spot, albeit an instant in front promoting you to P2 from P3. But it doesn't deny the fact you had to be in the right place at the right time and you had to fight to be on that podium.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Race 2 was really good. I do remember early on, was exiting the final corner on lap 2 or 3. I'm not sure if you caught it. And they also, a bit of an incident between the front 2 cars of about 4 cars in front of me, and it sort of slowed them all up. I managed to jink left to go around the outside of all 4 of them down the start-finish straight. It was a proper grinning moment, that one. And yeah, it was battling hard and trying to keep to your hit your apexes and defend where you need to. I do find this game it's really nice. It's no sim is the same. iRacing is very good at what it does. Race Room I enjoy. Now I'm on rFactor2, and I must say it's the feelings that you get from this. The physics are really, really good. It does take some getting used to when you're racing other sims, but those of us that do a reasonable amount of sim racing, it's not too difficult to adapt to each one of the sims, albeit for some of us it takes longer than others, of course.
Oh, no doubt about it. And speaking of things taking a long time, I get the feeling it takes a long time to master the art of knowing when to use the hybrid versus when not. When did you find the hybrid was working for you today?
Well, to be fair, I learnt a little bit from Jamie, because he started being on rFactor quite a bit when he was doing his initial testing, when he had his ideas about like setting this up in the first place, and listening to what he was saying and how he was deploying his hybrid, for example, around Thruxton. It gives you an idea of where you need to pick it up. I mean, for me, around Brands, on the start of a lap, I'm on it, obviously coming out as soon as I can on the exit of the last corner, and then right down really to just before the braking point. I then give it as soon as I can. Again, I'm on after I go through Paddock Hill, up to the top round Druids. I give it a little squirt going down then into Graham Hill, and then I'm squirting all the way up the hill. And you can make the 15 seconds last all the way around the lap if you're not too greedy in the various sections or the bigger sections. So I've got a sore thumb here. I've been applying it quite a bit each lap, so my buttons aren't particularly soft. So yeah, I was deploying it in various locations along the lap.
And speaking of pushing people's buttons, in race number 3, we got to see you push the buttons of a fellow Vauxhall driver in the form of Isaac Doble. The 2 of you battling immensely hard. I mean, for yourself, it started off having to pass your way into P2 off the start-finish line, and after that, it looked as though you were going to constantly hound Isaac for the win, but it didn't quite come about the way you wanted it to, perhaps.
No, I was wary that Isaac was putting in some really good pace and quite consistent. But behind me, I knew the quick guys are going to be coming up, so I was trying not to challenge too much to start with and hopefully keep trying to pull away and keep the momentum going. When I realised there's no way and I'm going to stay away from the quick guys coming back up, I thought, right, my aim is to finish in front of Isaac by the end of the race, because the other two guys are probably going to get us. Obviously, I was going to try and defend them, but those Beamers are something else. They seem to just I think their front tyres, obviously, they don't run through them so quickly, and they get power out the corners so well. So yeah, my target was Isaac, and we were battling really hard and really close. It was great fun. I want to seize that opportunity up the inside, Matt Neal style, I think it was, up in the last corner, when he just jinxed out. Albeit I did speak to him, and he said he had a little mini sort of glitch out when his screen went black, so it sent him forward that small, right, so he didn't hold the apex as much, and that gave me my opportunity. From there, I managed to just maintain a little gap from him, but it was great fun battling with him when we were together.
Oh, 100% fantastic battling. And with regards to, of course, those BMWs, like you say, able to get the drive out the corners, and on top of that as well, not wearing down the front tyres so much. I mean, we got to see some brilliant moments with yourself battling with Andrea Alberti, and it looks over some time you're going to be able to keep him behind you, but in the end, that BMW just proving too tough. I guess this isn't the end, though, of the rivalry you have with him.
Oh, no, not at all. If I can hopefully continue to master the front wheel drive to not make those odd, not odd, those rare little mistakes here and there, just those little bits of loss of traction on apexes and things when you're under the heat of battle. If we can try and sort of iron some of those out, we might have a little bit more of a chance against those Beamers. But certainly for the time being, for the very early stage of experience on this sim of rFactor2, I'm pleased with the performance so far.
Well, no doubt about it. You definitely should be pleased. 2 podiums today and all 3 results top 5s in the races. And I have to ask, how are you now feeling for Donington Park National in a week's time?
Yeah, I've approached this series as Jamie sort of set it up. It's a fun test, a league for us to test out rFactor2, to learn and understand, hopefully, how to run a really efficient and more sizable league like the obviously very well established NXTGEN. So I've approached this with I want to come here and have some fun and enjoy it, and I've got no expectations to be winning races or whatever. I just want to be enjoying the battle and the sim itself, and learn and get some experience with it. Hopefully in preparation for if we do a proper full league. So on that, in that context, yeah, it's just been really good. And Donington, it's another English track. I love the English tracks. It's another BTCC race, and it'll be in the Vauxhall again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We're definitely looking forward to seeing you apply your talent, your skills to the Donington Park circuit in a week's time. But just before we do let you go, Lee, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Well, I think most importantly, really, in relation to this evening, is probably the thanks that will go out to Jamie, yourself, and to Mark for all the background work being put in on, 1, the broadcast, and 2, the preparation of the server. I understand it's a very technical way of being of having to set the server up. Obviously, because we host them ourselves rather than the paid ones that rFactor2 do. Well, you guys are obviously hosting them, and I appreciate there's been a lot of time and effort in trying to, and testing, of course, with us drivers in there, in the background, trying to make it work. So big thanks out to you 3 for obviously putting the time and effort in to get this together, because this is the foundation that's going to obviously help us move forward with rFactor2. And then, as always, all our sponsors, IMB and Mark Sykes and Benji and yourself and all the ones I can't remember that I should remember, and anyone else that's been watching. Thanks very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you join me in the interview, as it always is. Thank you for that, and well done today on your results in all 3 races. A great start to your campaign. We look forward to plenty more in a week's time at Donington Park, but until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Good night.
So hearing there from our second and final interview of today, Lee Horn, absolute positivity and beaming from ear to ear. And well, they're talking all about this major learning experience and going with the Vauxhall. He felt quite comfortable in it after experimenting with a number of cars, including the Hyundai and also the Toyota Corolla, but deciding to go with the Astra, tried and tested, and own a Vauxhall in real life as well. And I mean, do keep in mind that touring car, particularly back in the 90s, and I think all the way through its ad age, in fact, has been a major influencing factor on car purchases for drivers of the United Kingdom, and Will Lehorn going with what he knows best, and he's definitely delivered his best today here at the Brands Hatch circuit, and we look forward to plenty more from him at Donington Park, no question about it. And if he can find just that extra couple of attempts or that way to keep the tyres alive at the front, he may just be able to take the changes to the BMWs and take them all the way to the checker flag. And could we see him take his first wins of the season at Donington? Well, my gut feeling says we maybe just could. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all of our interviews for today. And you've heard from two of our drivers, and those drivers being Jamie Dorey, firstly in the number 19 Cupra, and also they're the number 88 driver of Lehorn. Congratulations to them both on their fantastic performances today, and great to have them joining me in the interview room. And we'll hear from more of our drivers next week, we can promise you that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to both on their performances, and now it's time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the Next Gen Racing community, perhaps you've watched this today and thought you want to be on the grid for the final 3 rounds of what will be this mini league, the British Touring Car Championship mini league hosted at rFactor2. Well, for all that and more, we firstly recommend you check out our official website. That's at nextgenracing.co.uk, and as the website appears on screen in front of you now, it's the home of clean and fair sim racing for all, and we continue to run series and leagues in our 17-year history at Next Gen Racing. And as we go from strength to strength, whilst we are primarily focused on iRacing, today has been the arrival of a new era in the rFactor2 scene, and we're looking forward to plenty more there, and on other simulators as well as 2024 goes on. But if you don't necessarily want to go to our website today, and if you're more of a social media person, you can of course follow us on Facebook, and the best place to do so is at our Facebook group, which is at facebook.com/groups/NextGen Racing. And then you can find out all the latest details and information regarding our upcoming and ongoing series, our broadcast, and also about our staff and admin members in terms of what we do on both the virtual circuit and also on the real life circuit. Well, good number of our staff members being not administrators, my apologies, but being track marshals at circuits, if not real life racing drivers. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, who do include what is PowerMaxed, Next Level Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Joyce Design, Higgins Automotive, IMB Racewear, Sam Cases UK, Douglas Motorsport, and also Benji Sim Photos. And now looking ahead to a week's time, when it's going to be round number 2, and save the date, ladies and gentlemen, because on Tuesday the 6th of February 2024 we head to Leicestershire for the Donington Park National Circuit. We've had a fantastic round of racing today, no question about it, but it looked as though the BMW 330s were leading the way up front, with the two Andreas running away with victory. But could we see Lloyd Biddulph take more wins than Hyundai? Could we see our first Vauxhall Astra win in the form of Lehorn or Isaac Doble? Or could we see the Seat Cooper in the hands of Jamie Dorey perhaps notch a win? Well, all that and more will be found out in a week's time. But until then, we've been Next Gen Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain a Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.